KYWW 1310 AM in Ottawa
and CJET 1011 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It's Wednesday, November 23rd. Good morning. I'm Pirushka Gopal-Kista. Right now in Ottawa and in Smiths Falls, cloudy and -1. Here's what's making news in Ottawa and the Valley. Group action is underway this morning with Morocco and Croatia with the early match. But the late match is what Canadians will be watching, Canada versus Belgium. City News reporter Chris Curries sets the scene of what things will look like at the local bars and pubs.
It's Canada's first World Cup match in 36 years, so Canucks are pretty excited. And even though the match at 2 p.m., expect the bars to be busy. Here's Joseph Rosa from the Old Dubliner in the Byward Market.
I'm expecting a full house. Yeah, should be a popular sporting event. So we are staffed up and ready to rock, yeah.
And there's a chance you would be supporting Belgium in enemy territory. And if so, there is a spot for you.
Another thing about our specific location is that we've actually sanctioned Belgium to have their fans come here. So you might see more Belgian fans here at Senate on Bank than Canada.
Server Jesse tells me that should make for a terrific atmosphere. Now, everyone I spoke to, though, thrilled for the World Cup in general and the boost that it brings on the business side of things. Chris Curries, City News.
City News time, 10:01. Now with a look at your weather, here's City News meteorologist Joel Taylor.
Mainly cloudy conditions today and for most of tomorrow as well. 3 degrees, the guaranteed high today. 1 tomorrow, that's it. And heads up for freezing rain. That is possible overnight Thursday to Friday morning, but then quite mild. That freezing rain, if we get any, will change over to all rain Friday. 6 degrees. Highs on the weekend, 7 Saturday. Cooler on Sunday, just 4 degrees. We will have some showers Saturday and Sunday. For today, the guaranteed high, 3.
Right now, cloudy skies in Ottawa, -1. In Smiths Falls, it's also -1. The federal agency overseeing Canada's national parks says $40 million in the damage from 2 earlier Atlantic Canada storms far eclipsed costs incurred in the region due to post-tropical storm Fiona. Here's Karen Rebo.
Parks Canada says a wind and rainstorm in November of last year caused $36 million worth of damage at Nova Scotia's Cape Breton Highlands National Park. The agency says the storm hit hard and caused a complete washout of the Cabot Trail in one area, with a 15-kilometer stretch of road requiring 3 weeks of emergency repairs. And a winter storm this past February that required an emergency closure of a damaged kilometer-long stretch of the roadway cost another $4.5 million. Parks Canada expected Fiona to cause similar damage in September, but officials tell the Canadian press the impact was nowhere near as severe as the 2 other storms. Karen Rebo, the Canadian Press.
QP members have from tomorrow until Monday, December 5th, to cast their vote to accept or reject the deal hammered out at the bargaining table last weekend. 55,000 members are eligible to vote on the deal that fell short, according to the union, on some issues, but it's recommending acceptance. The union says it will release the results of the vote Tuesday, December 6th. And here locally, voting on mask mandates in public schools did not go as planned, with no decision made on bringing back mask mandates. The Ottawa Carlton Board special meeting had their meeting last night to address the motion from Dr. Neely Kaplan-Mirth, and it descended into chaos. Police had to be called in at one point to remove some people, and police eventually cleared the building. Several medical experts who did manage to get themselves heard, but at one point, the CHEO's Chief of Staff, Dr. Lindy Sampson, was addressing the issue when the board chair had to step in. Due to one in the crowd trying to get her point across.
So that's answer to your first.
Dr. Sampson. Ma'am, you are being asked to leave. If you do not leave, we will be forced to trespass you. Ma'am.
Now, the meeting was disrupted several times, and the meeting then transitioned virtually. The meeting finally ended at 10:30 p.m. Now, there's no future date for the actual vote on mask mandates in schools. I'm Pirushka Gopal-Kista. For more news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
Connecting you and your community. This is the Sam Laprade Show on City News News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, welcome to Wednesday, everybody. We're so excited. We are on location today, live on location from the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital, and we are so excited to be here. We've got a full show for you today. We're going to be sharing some stories from the hospital today, but we're also going to be bringing you, of course, any of that breaking news, lots of different news guests for you today. We're going to start our show today with Mary Wilson Tritter. How are you, Mary?
Very well, thank you.
Good. President and CEO of the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital, and Robin Arsenault, of course, is here as well, Executive Director of the Foundation.
Nice to see you again, Sam.
It is amazing to be here, Mary. We're so happy.
Thank you very much for coming. We're thrilled to have you.
And we're here for a very special reason. And we're very happy to be here because, of course, the Valley means a lot to us at City News. We're number one in Ottawa, but we're number one in the Valley. And the reason we're here is because we want to bring attention to this amazing project you have going on, trying to increase your emergency room.
We are very excited to have shovels in the ground to build a brand new emergency department for the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital and for the communities and the patients and families that we serve. The construction started a couple of weeks ago. It's an 18-month project, and we are just thrilled to be underway.
I can tell you're thrilled to be underway because there's a lot of smiles in this hospital, and we don't really see that, right, Robin? I mean, there's a lot of change that's happening in healthcare, but I can tell that people are really excited to see this change happening.
Well, and I think it's something we have talked about for a long time, but seeing the bulldozers every morning when you come into work, it is really, really exciting. Mm-hmm. The whole team's worked really hard, and the community being able to help fund the project and to see it, as Mary said, shovels in the ground is really exciting.
It is, absolutely. Give us a little bit of history of this hospital, Mary. How important is it to Carleton Place?
The hospital is one of the most important elements of the community. It's something we hear about from people in town about what it means to them to have emergency facilities, inpatient facilities, and care so close to home. We hear from people that they move to Carleton Place because of the hospital being in the community so that they can have access to the excellent care that our physicians and our staff provide every day.
Mm-hmm. And I know one of your jobs, obviously the biggest job you have, is to raise money, Robin, to make sure that all of this construction can get underway. And you really did embrace the community, but the community's embraced you as well.
100%. So the foundation's been around for 25 years, actually, and we raise funds every single year to support the hospital in terms of patient care equipment that's needed and in renovations and, of course, a new building. But we really had a tough go because we started the campaign just before the COVID pandemic hit. Mm-hmm. We had to change the way that we do traditional fundraising, but we were met with a phenomenal community that really loves their hospital, really takes ownership of making it the best it can be, and we know that we need to expand. We're in the fastest growing place in all of Canada. As Mary said, people are moving here because of our excellent quality of care close to home, and the community's been phenomenal, along with our staff, in terms of supporting this project.
Well, I'll tell you, when our team was coming in today to be live on location here at the hospital, we have our producer Aaron with us today and Mark Day, our news director, and that was what we said when we were driving in. We're like, what's happened to this community? It has really grown. So give us a sense, Mary, how many employees are at this hospital? Give us a sense of how many patients you also would serve in a year.
So we have about 200 staff who work at the hospital. We have a permanent family physician complement of about 13 who provide the core of patient care service here, as well as a number of other physicians who work in the emergency department and also provide clinic services in our ambulatory care area. We see about 18,000 visits a year in the emergency department. We've got a 22-bed inpatient unit that serves several hundred people every year for a couple of days or longer, depending on what their conditions are. Very busy ambulatory care and diagnostic imaging as well, again, with thousands of visits in a year from people in the community taking advantage of care close to home.
I think people living in the community, if they have to come to this hospital, they know they're going to get great care, Robin, and that's a big part of what we do. And I think about a friend of ours who we lost, sadly, a colleague of ours at Rogers Radio and at City News by the name of Janice Tompkins. We miss Janice every single day. She was a spark plug, if you will, in our building, and she believed so much in this hospital. And truth be known, Robin, that's one of the reasons we're here today, is because we're trying to raise money in Janice's name and bring attention to this great cause. But tell me a little bit about Janice from your perspective.
Yeah, I was very privileged and fortunate to have known Janice for a number of years because she was a local community resident, and also she was our liaison with any advertising we were doing or any promotions of some fundraising events coming up. Janice was my go-to girl, and if everyone knows, those who know Janice, she has so much energy. She was so not just inspiring, but she just really got the ball rolling. So she loved this hospital, and I'm really disappointed she couldn't be here for I guess more of that public side of when we started this campaign, because she had major plans. Like, she was gonna have concerts and do these amazing things and bring this talent in, and she was just ready because she loved her community hospital so much. It has helped her and her boys and her family members, and she really took that on in terms of she knew it was something that she had to do in terms of giving back to her community, and healthcare was a big deal for her. And she saw the impact that it made not only on, her neighbors and loved ones, but the whole community. When you have a strong unit like the hospital, holding everyone together and supporting them through their, when they're at their worst, their healthcare needs, it really does make a really big difference. And Janice was one of our largest advocates for sure.
Well, we miss Janice terribly, and the theme and the thread really, Mary, is that Janice was very passionate about this hospital, and she is one of thousands of people that are passionate, as we talked about. Who are some of the other people, Mary, that have been engaged in this incredible endeavor?
We have been so fortunate to have great community support. We have had a foundation board of committed volunteers led by Linda McGreevy, the current chair, Ian Grant, the past chair, Beth Holohan, and others before them. Our campaign cabinet has been led by Richard Kidd, who is the Reeve of Beckwith, and Laurie Kavanagh of Kavanagh Construction, who have worked extremely hard to mobilize other community members to raise money in the community for our local share of the emergency department project.
Now, I know we've inspired someone today, maybe lots of people, Robin. How would they contribute if they wanted to participate in this campaign? How are you hoping that they'll contribute?
Yeah, so right now we have a really, and I think that's what I really want to share too. We really love our family, our hospital family and staff. Within fundraising, they also had their goal of raising $100,000. They've blasted through that. They're now raising an additional $50,000 to challenge the community to match their gift of $50,000. So that's really what we're so super excited for everyone who's here and who are giving their all every day, and also their dollars behind it. So if someone wants to be a part of that matched gift, they can only do so until the end of next Tuesday at midnight is the end of Giving Tuesday. So you can definitely call 613-257-GIVE. That's 613-257-4483. Or you can visit our website, which is CPDMH, Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital. So cpdmhfoundation.ca. And you can find right there on our front page a donation button. You can click that to give right away.
I love that, Robin. Thank you so much for sharing that. We're going to have the opportunity today to meet lots of people associated with the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital. So you want to stay with us all day. Robin Arsenault, thank you so much for spending time with us, Executive Director, of course, of the Foundation, and Mary Wilson-Trider, President and CEO of the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You joining us today. When we come back, lots of news for you today. We're going to talk a little World Cup, kind of a little bit different than maybe you're expecting, but you won't want to miss it. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
This week on Simply Cooking by Chef, simple salads that will last all week in the fridge, give you a burst of flavor, and will please a big crowd.
Every year, Dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
I did it. I need it.
The hero gave it.
And I am alive.
As an organ donor, you can save up to 8 lives and enhance the lives of 75 others. Please go to our website. Pledge a gift of life. You'll be glad you did.
Heartbeat of Mother Earth, I feel you and embrace your warmth. I see you dancing through the trees. Your song floats on the summer breeze. Community, we come together. We are the voice of our ancestors. Thankful for how much you bless us. Feel the thunder in the drum. All our voices sing as one. Feel the power, feel the pride. Feel the drumbeat deep inside. Feel the boom, feel the bass. Let's let go of time and space. It'll make you dance, it'll make you sing. Ode Wegun, Wedok Wishin. The drum will lead you, take you far. Always remember who you are.
From coast to coast, all across Canada, there's something very special going on. It's time to show your support. Time to spread the word. Time to demonstrate your commitment to safe and sober driving. Join thousands of Canadians and tie a ribbon on something or someone you love. And take the time to have a real conversation about impaired driving. Mad Project Red Ribbon. Tie it, wear it, show it, share it, live it. Find out more at mad.ca.
Hi everybody, my name is Brian Aslan and I'm with The Commotions. We are performing Encore Ottawa 3 this week. Be sure to tune in.
Laprade Show continues on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, today, of course, is a very big day. 2 o'clock today, Canada is going to be at the World Cup. We wanted to connect today with Jim Davies, professor of the Department of Cognitive Science at Carleton University, and talk about World Cup, well, from a different perspective. Hi, Jim. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Hi. Good. Jim, are you excited about the big game today?
Oh, I don't really follow sports. I just know about the psychology
that's so
of it.
Funny. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the psychology of sports. Why are we so intrigued? Why can we just not get enough, Jim?
Sports are interesting because, humans are one of the only animals that can learn by watching. What I mean by that is you can watch a YouTube video of somebody dancing and figure out how to do the dance. And many other animals can't do that. They learn in other ways. So I think that a big reason that we watch sports is because we feel like we're learning how to do important things. So a lot of sports are related to things that would have been really valuable for our ancestors, running and jumping and hiding and throwing. That's one aspect of it, is that we want to, I think that part of us feels it's important because we're learning how to do things really well by watching.
Right. So interesting. And how long have you been studying the psychology of sports?
Oh, I did a deep dive into it, I think, back around 2014 when I wrote a book on why we're interested in everything, actually, from religion to art and everything. And I looked into sports then. Another reason that we like them is because we often identify with a particular team because we feel they represent us. The animal kingdom is also full of kind of symbolic competition. So crabs might wave their arms around, their claws around, and whoever has the biggest claw wins the fight, and nobody ends up getting hurt. So I think that people get really attached also because they sort of see sports as a symbolic competition where someone might be like representing you and your own kind of thing.
And is it different, Jim, with different sports, or are we all watching, for instance, obviously we have soccer today. We have obviously a big love of hockey in this country. Is it different, or is it all sports all the time?
Yeah, as somebody who's not a sports fan, I feel like hockey and basketball and soccer are kind of the same sport. But, I think that one big difference is that we see a difference in team sports versus individual sports. And men seem to be somewhat more interested in team sports, and women seem to be more interested in individual sports like running or something like that. But I think that sports vary a lot in their complexity as well. So, for example, sprinters, be they swimming or running or whatever, there's not a lot of like tactics to it, as opposed to like an extreme sport like football, like American football, for example, has plays and a lot of strategy and a lot of planning and secrets and all those kind of things. So I think people can get attracted to varying levels of intellectual complexity with the sport as well.
Mm-hmm. So interesting. And when I think about, obviously, the big game happening today, Canada versus Belgium, I mean, we've been waiting for this for a very long time. I think it's upwards of 36 years. Is there something about that as well that we see ourselves on the world stage, do you think, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, harkening back to what I said earlier, is that it's interesting that we do identify with these athletes who are representing Canada, even though we're not playing in it. Because we think that they are representing us, we are very interested. And of course, if it's an unusual thing, we're also interested in unusual things. So yes, the first time we do it in 36 years is going to be a big deal, a much bigger deal than if it were to happen again next year. Kind of like how the J.J. Abrams Star Wars movie was like a huge deal, much more than the next movie because it had been so long. That kind of thing. I think that like in the World Cup, at least the players are actually from Canada. It's interesting to me that many sports teams are made up of people who aren't from that city, but they still symbolically represent us, and so we like them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, for sure. And, I'm thinking back to even, when the women were going for gold and how, excited this country was about that. And, each one of us sort of came up with, the player that we were sort of rooting for. There was so many different storylines in that particular time of our lives as well. And, you might get connected to a Christine Sinclair, for instance, and, you feel almost that Christine. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yes, yeah. So this mirrors our interest in celebrities and virtuosity in general. So I think that getting attached and really interested in a particular athlete is very similar to getting really into Yo-Yo Ma as the world's greatest cellist or some other kind of expertise. Expertise is often a signal for social status, and we find ourselves attracted to people who have high social status, whatever that reason might be. Mm-hmm. And, that's why people are way more interested in the top athlete in the world and much less interested in the second best in the world. And this is not just sports, but we see this across all kinds of celebrity fandom.
Is all of that just a little bit of a reprieve from our regular lives? Does it kind of take us somewhere else, Jim?
I think to an extent, but I think that even our regular lives are suffused with the same kinds of interests. So we are interested in competition. So let's just say even at your work, maybe your boss and somebody else are competing for a promotion, and it's a tight race. I feel like your interest in that is also going to be the same psychological, for the same psychological reasons that you'd enjoy a close game of sports, right? So we like competition. We're interested in uncertain outcomes. We're interested in top people trying to do their top things. And so although sports aren't directly relevant to our lives, you can say it's escapism, I think that there are a lot of underlying psychological similarities between enjoying observing all kinds of competition, whether it's real life or sports or movies.
And there's certain moments, I think, when we think back to big sporting moments that we remember where we were, right? I mean, I think about when, Sidney Crosby scored the goal. I remember exactly where I was. I remember exactly what I was doing. There's moments like that kind of have created identity for us as well as a country.
Yeah, this is known in psychology as a flashbulb memory, and so it's similar to people talking about like where they were for 9/11 or when Kennedy was shot or something like that. And the research shows that people often have a very strong feeling of where they were and what they were doing, but their memories are not really as reliable as we think they are. And so often people will later misremember where they were. So, for example, many people heard about the Twin Towers collapsing, like from a friend or something else, but they watched it on TV like 100 times, and then they misremember having seen it first on television.
Right.
So even though we have a strong feeling of a flashbulb memory, that doesn't our feeling of certainty isn't always trustworthy.
Wow, it's so interesting. I'm fascinated by that. And tell us, as we're heading towards 2:00 today, obviously very big day in this country. Any recommendations for us? I know you're not a big sports guy, but how we can get the most out of watching sports?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I think that putting yourself in the position to enjoy the game regardless of outcome is great because we might not win it, and the uncertainty is part of why people like sports, and that explains why we don't watch a lot of reruns, right? Like it's not like we buy, let's get season 1 of the NFL.
Right.
And so the fact that we are even there is a real privilege, and it's really special. And so I think that people should be mindful of the good stuff, even if we don't win. And if we do win, that's great.
That's fantastic. Thank you for that. One last question before I let you go. Is there a difference of watching sports in person where you're actually there, you're at the arena or you're at the field, or watching it on TV? Is there a difference of how we sort of absorb that from a psychological perspective?
I don't think there's a big difference. I think it's mostly just one of intensity. Being watching a movie on your phone and watching a movie in a theater full of people on a big screen is a very similar experience, but the difference is that it's more intense. You have a more palpable, visceral feeling of being around the other fans. You can sort of feel the energy in the room of the other people. But I think that any sports fan will know that often when it comes to actually observing the sport itself, television is often better than being live because you've got TV screens, you can get close-ups, replays. And even when people are at live sporting events, they do watch reruns and stuff on big screens. So I think that the main benefit of being in person is the crowd and the energy that you feel from the crowd that you don't get at home so much.
Well, I'm feeling great energy after my chat with you today. Thank you so much. I learned a lot, Jim. That was fascinating. Thanks for your time today.
Oh, anytime. I hope your listeners all enjoy the game and go Canada.
There you go. Thank you so much. Jim Davies spending time with us today, Professor, Department of Cognitive Science at Carleton University, talking about, of course, that big World Cup game today with Canada. We're going to be speaking with Peter Tilley, CEO of the Ottawa Mission, when we return. We are live on location at the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital today. We're going to be sharing lots of stories from this beautiful hospital today, so we're wanting you to stay with us all afternoon. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
I'm Mallory, and I was walking home one night when an impaired driver hit me. He had been overserved in 2 bars before getting behind the wheel. If the servers would have called him a cab instead of serving him more alcohol, my life would be the same as what it used to be. I think servers play the biggest role in keeping us safe because it's up to them what state the person's in when they leave. Refusing service isn't personal, it's the law.
After a 2-year hiatus, we are back with brand new episodes of Celebrate Ottawa starting this fall. We showcase remarkable people highlighting the city's diversity in arts, culture, sports, and nature. We will show you features that will entertain you and will even teach you new things. Join me, your host, Lila Grind, as we explore and celebrate Ottawa.
Hi, my name's Ange. I'm from the Angelina Hunter Trio. We will be performing this week as part of Encore Ottawa 3, and we really hope that you enjoy our set.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It's Wednesday, November 23rd. Good morning, I'm Perishka Gopal-Kista. Right now, cloudy skies and 0 in both Ottawa and in Smiths Falls. Here's what's making news this hour. Police in Virginia are trying to understand what exactly drove a shooter to open fire in a Walmart supercenter. The store manager opened fire on fellow employees as they gathered in the store's break room. He later shot himself. Now, this is the second high-profile mass killing in the U.S. in recent days. There's no motive as of yet. Here at home, 3 more federal ministers will take the stand today to testify about the decisions leading up to use the Emergencies Act to clear out Freedom Convoy protesters back in February. Justice Minister David Lametti, Defense Minister Anita Anand, and Transport Minister Omar Al-Ghabra are on the witness list. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is expected to testify on Friday. Now, we will have more coming up on this at the top of the hour from our Parliament Hill reporter Cormac McSweeney. 4 people were arrested after attempting to steal a car in the Barhaven area. A witness called police and all people were arrested. The vehicle still remains in the same place where the owner parked it. Now, police are still investigating. And checking in on the World Cup, Japan beat Germany 2-1. We will be watching Morocco versus Croatia next, but the most anticipated match, Canada versus Belgium, that gets underway at 2 p.m. City News Time, 10:32. I'm Perishka Gopal-Kista. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, hello, everybody. We are so happy to be live on location today at the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital. We're going to be bringing you stories throughout the show today about this hospital and why we're here, which is for very good reasons. So we are very happy to be out here today. But that doesn't stop the news. We wanted to continue to bring you lots of fascinating stories from Ottawa and the Valley, and we wanted to spend some time today with Peter Tilley, CEO of the Ottawa Mission. How are you, Peter?
Hey, I'm great. Thank you, Sam, and so glad to know you're out there supporting the Ottawa Hospital and that very important institution in the Ottawa area.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Peter. And Peter, we know that obviously the snow has come down. There's a little bit of it left. And I know when the snow flies, you start thinking about what winter means at the Ottawa Mission. Where are you at the planning stages for the next couple of months?
Well, we're really excited, the staff and all of us, because we're opening up on Monday operations close to where we were pre-pandemic, and that's very exciting that the blue doors on Waller Street, which you know well, are actually going to be opened up to the community again, where people can come in, use the facilities, whether the washroom or whatever. And the other part being that the community meal lines are no longer going to be takeout meals out of the receiving dock door. People are actually going to come in the front doors, be seated here at the Ottawa Mission, and be able to sit in the dining hall, not just our residents, which we've been doing for 2.5 years now, but also the public. And the biggest piece is, and you'd appreciate this one having been through a few of them, the Christmas dinner is going to be a go as per normal, with the celebrities coming in, with the new city councilors, hopefully the new mayor, we've confirmed the new police chief, to come in and serve the population from the downtown core, those who come in for that community Christmas meal. First time in 8 meals that we're actually doing it in-house to the full community, Sam. We're all so excited to have Christmas back for people to come enjoy a Sunday Christmas dinner.
Well, I certainly have many fond memories when I was there for close to a decade at the Ottawa Mission. I have many, many fond memories of that meal, and I think the only thing that warms my heart more than the fact that everyone's going to be receiving that beautiful meal is the fellowship that comes along with that, Peter. I mean, I think people, may not understand when they've got friends and family and people are coming from all over, that sometimes that meal is the only quote unquote holiday time they have with people in the community, and to sit beside someone that's definitely been missed, Peter.
Yes, families coming. There was a woman here several years ago, again, the Christmas before the pandemic, with her daughter. She had finally regained, through addiction and everything, she had regained custody or access to her daughter, shared custody. She had been working her program, and to have her 8-year-old daughter come here with her and enjoy a Christmas dinner, she said how much of a difference it made that she was sitting in her rooming house with her daughter, finally visiting, and had nowhere to go, and then heard in the news that we were doing Christmas dinner that day, and came down and brought her daughter, and there they were seated at the table. So a sense of family, sense of community, sense of, hey, look at us having a regular Christmas dinner. And for many of our people, as you know, they've long since lost connection with their family, their friends. They're alone, whether they're here at the shelter or they're in one of the downtown rooming houses or in Vanier, and they make the trek. They come here and they enjoy the company and the comfort and the warmth, as well as the fine meal that Chef Rick's going to put on, as he always does.
And you brought up something really important. I mean, having the new police chief there usually we used to have them serving juice. I don't know if that's what you're still doing, Peter, but, having
they've got the forearms and that to hold those big juice
exactly.
jugs all for a 2-hour shift. They've usually got the strength, them and the fire.
There you go. There you go. And I think having Ottawa Police in, or any first responders in, I know sometimes media come down as well, I think that's the opportunity for everyone to be on an equal footing, right? It's that opportunity to connect when things are joyful. It's there's a lot of sad times in working in that sector, but the reality is, if we can find a little bit of joy and connect those communities, there's just something special about that.
Yeah, always fun. I used to laugh. You'd see Chief Charles Bordelot amongst the crowd and some of the deputy chiefs of the police, and they're there with their guns holstered beside them while they're walking amongst this homeless population, which on other days they might be addressing in a different manner, but here they are serving them on that Christmas Sunday dinner, the Sunday before Christmas that we always put on, and it's just a beautiful thing. You're right.
And what's so ironic about it, and I would speak to officers, I'm sure you do the same thing, they get more out of it, Peter, than we can imagine. It's very rewarding for them to be able to spend that time too, and not have to be on the front lines in a negative way.
Yeah, and it'll be nice if we can get Mr. Sutcliffe down here in his new capacity, then media celebrity. Let's get him down here as mayor. And we're just waiting for that confirmation too, but I'm sure he'll be there if he can.
That would be fantastic. I mean, let's not sugarcoat any of this, Peter. It has been a challenging time through this pandemic. It was challenging before the pandemic. You and I, and I think about Wendy Muckle from Ottawa Inner City Health. We've had countless conversations about the opioid crisis, and really that was the first pandemic that struck that we didn't really talk about. 20 people in this country dying a day from opioid addiction, and I know Ottawa has seen its fair share.
Yeah, we lost someone on the washroom floor a week ago Monday, and they overdosed and at 4:30 a.m., Sam, and it just happens, and it's hard, and we have to talk the team through it, the frontline team. They all have Narcan, and they're trying to bring that person back to life. Honestly, I'd say 19 times out of 20, maybe 14 out of 15, whatever, we succeed. And then we, until the paramedics arrive and in this case, it didn't happen. And it's just a tough one for us all as a family. We grieve when a 29-year-old goes down like that. It's just so hard for us all that, but it's the reality of the bad drugs, the fentanyl and that are mixed in with the drugs that are going around sometimes. And, but let's hope we bring that nice focus on a good Christmas dinner, and we'll celebrate that at least. And those who are here as residents, as you know, they'll all at the foot of their beds have a little backpack waiting for them filled with all sorts of treats like Tim cards, warm socks, mitts, scarves, and whatever else, chocolate bars that the community has donated, and that'll be their Christmas Eve for when they wake up Christmas Day. The front line will drop those off at 3 a.m. So, or I should say Santa and the elves will drop those off at 3 a.m. So that's a nice thing we'll do in-house.
Santa doesn't miss anybody, Peter, so that's
right.
Important. And, I think about your job, Peter, and all the things that would be on your agenda. How do you also sort of include making sure the staff is cared for in terms of compassion fatigue, and especially this time of year, knowing they're going into those cold winter months and they'll see some struggles of people in our community. How do you care for them?
That's a great observation, and you know it because being familiar with this industry, Sam, that we've actually, through our strategic plan, decided we're going to have in-house counseling available for clients and staff as we come out of this pandemic. I was on a course and they said, you can't just keep telling your people they need to get away on vacation. And I had to have that's what I've been doing. Make sure you get your vacation time in. It's stressful out there. So you need to do more. So we're making sure we have services available when incidents like the one I described earlier happen, or just dealing with those who are suffering from the winter blues, the seasonal disorder that we see that it wears on the staff here, especially this pandemic. So we're making sure they have someone to speak to and do their gut check as well too, so they can go out and give as need be in serving the people here under our roof.
For sure. And I know that Tuesday is a big day for a lot of nonprofits participating in Giving Tuesday. How is the Ottawa Mission, the foundation, working in terms of Giving Tuesday?
It's funny how everything now is such a social media blast, and that's what we're doing now on our website. People can go to ottawamission.com and see how they can assist and get involved for Giving Tuesday. We've got matching gifts thanks to our friends at Diamond Storage. So anybody wants to give, we're going to be matching those donations, and we're hoping for a big day. We need it as we roll into the Christmas season, as you know. So we're really hoping for a big day on Giving Tuesday coming up.
Now, if I didn't ask you before I let you go today and talk turkey with you, that it just would seem like a conversation between you and I. Let's talk a little turkey. Peter, are you still looking for turkeys?
Yes, people can drop them off at the Best for a Street loading dock door just as they come off of Waller. Hang a right, and there's our receiving dock door open between 7 and 5. Happy to receive any turkey donations, and they can contact us, and we can always have our driver, if Matt's out on the road in the area, certainly can pick them up. But they can also go online to that ottawamission.com address and make a donation, and we'll buy the turkeys. But because of the food truck and the delivery, we're going to serve more meals than ever before on the week leading up to Christmas out in the community, and then here at the Ottawa Mission. So certainly the demand is going to be there, and we can certainly use all the support we can get. So thank you for asking.
Remind us. Yeah, no, of course. I always want to get that in there because I think a lot of families, it's become a tradition, Peter, right? They like to do that. So, so it's fantastic to be able to spend time with you today and really think about, the winter that's coming. Remember the most vulnerable in our community, and I appreciate your time.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Peter Tilley joining us today, CEO of the Ottawa Mission. We appreciate him spending time with us. And you might have heard we're out at the Carleton Place District Memorial Hospital today, and we are meeting so many different community members. So that's what we're going to be doing throughout the day. But we are bringing you, of course, those news stories of the day, and we've got lots of great guests for you. You won't want to go anywhere. Lock it in to City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
This week on Simply Cooking by Chef, simple salads that will last all week in the fridge, give you a burst of flavor, and will please a big crowd.
On Thursday's Daytime Ottawa, we are joined by Vets Without Borders. We're going to tell you about their fantastic initiative, which revolves around Giving Tuesday. That's right, it's just around the corner, an important topic and a great way for us to raise funds for those organizations that are important to us. We'll also tell you about a group of activists who's put together an incredible documentary about violence against women. And Hospice Care Ottawa has their holiday pop-up shop. We'll give you all the details.
Hi, I'm Meg from AIM Fitness, and I'm here with my buddy Fit Finley. Join us every week for Fit Over 50. We'll take you through some low-impact and high-intensity workouts designed to improve your strength and your balance. All you'll need is a resistance band, some light hand weights, and also your water bottle and a sturdy chair. Tune in right here on Rogers TV and let us be part of your weekly routine.
What is it? Anxiety disorder. Depression.
Clear. PTSD.
1 in 2. A flip of a coin. That's the same chance we'll experience a mental illness by the time we're 40. $1 a day can help change those odds and bring hope to those in need.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Hi everybody, my name is Brian Aslan and I'm with the Commotions. We are performing Encore Ottawa 3 this week. Be sure to tune in.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, I don't know if you heard the exciting news. We are on location today. The Sam Laprade Show went on the road and we came all the way to beautiful Carleton Place. And we are at the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital. And we're spending time today really highlighting some of the great work that's being done out here. And we wanted to spend some time today with the Integrated Vice President, Corporate Support Services and Capital Projects. It's a big title, but you're up for the job. Randy Shaw, how are you?
I'm great, and thanks for being here today. We really, really appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's great to see you here and supporting what we're doing in this community.
Absolutely. And the minute I saw you today, I said, Randy, you do have a very big job because you're in charge of this capital project that's happening. Walk us through what we're expecting in the next 18 months or so.
Sure. I'll start with the scope of the project, actually. We're building a new building at the back of the hospital. It's going to be about 11,000 square feet. It is going to house the new ED. The current hospital was built in 1955, so our current emergency department is quite small and cramped, I guess. I do want to say, though, and recognize and say how pleased I am and how happy I am with our wonderful staff and physicians. They just do an outstanding job looking after our patients and in our community. I also live in this community, so I'm well aware of what they do and think it's just fantastic. And looking forward to building them a new emergency department so they can continue the wonderful care they provide in a much new modern facility. It's going to be as I say, a new building. It's about 11,000 square feet. It's being built, and we've started construction now at the back of the hospital. It'll be connected to the hospital via a link, and it will have a lot of improvements to what we currently have.
Mm-hmm. For sure. How do you even begin to develop a brand new emergency department with all of the technological advances that would have taken place since this hospital was built?
Yeah, Sam, that's a really good question. There is a process we go through with the Ministry of Health with the capital planning. It had actually started in 2016 when we had approval to actually start the planning process. And it's a 5-stage planning process where you go through everything from the conceptual design, the functional programming, what should it look like, and start to think about all those things you're just talking about. What's the modern standard in terms of square footage? What type of exam room should you have in an emergency department and a hospital like this? What kind of equipment do you need? And you have various consultants you hire, and eventually you hire architects to start the design. You go through the design process, and through each of those stages, the ministry is involved. They approve you to go to the next stage. And through that design process, you incorporate all those, the physical design, the technical design. You start to look at what kind of equipment you need. So a lot of good people working a lot of long hours to get us to where we are. But it's been a great process to go through, and I'm just so I'm kind of like a little boy in a sandbox right now. I'm so excited that we're finally started construction.
Wow. We
had approval from the ministry early October to actually award the contract. We did that, and then by the end of October, the contractor was on site. We had our our groundbreaking ceremony was October 28th, and that was a real special day for all of us here at the hospital and the community.
Very special. Even though this project was underway before the pandemic, did the pandemic change any of the plans? Was there sort of lived experience that influenced what that would look like in the end?
That's a really great question as well, and yes, it did. Both from our perspective as staff, physicians working in a hospital environment during the pandemic, and understanding what that meant to provide safe care and safety for our staff. So, as well as the ministry, in conversations with the ministry, they started looking at how the pandemic would change design, and I'm really pleased to say that there were changes to the design to reflect the pandemic and our experience from that and our learnings from that. And it really has to do with IPAC, which is infection prevention and control. So things like larger waiting areas were developed, different types of IPAC technology, things like different types of HVAC that would provide sterilization, those types of technology. So absolutely did, and those are incorporated in our design.
We're speaking with Randy Shaw today, Integrated Vice President, Corporate Support Services and Capital Projects at the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital. You know, I can only imagine, as someone like yourself who lives in this community, you know how passionate this community is about their hospital hospital? Have you even seen it, in a larger way, knowing the donations are coming in and the way that the community is rallying?
Absolutely, and they've just been so supportive. And actually, I should like to recognize and thank both the foundation staff, the foundation board. A lot of our staff are also participating in raising those funds. A lot of volunteers and the support from the community has been fantastic. Because without the support from the community and everybody I've just talked about, this project wouldn't happen. The way it works is the ministry funds 90% of the construction cost for a project like this, and then we need to raise the other 10%, which is called local share. And we also need to raise the funds for the equipment. And that's an ongoing requirement because hospital foundations provide the funds for all the equipment you see in the hospital. So absolutely wonderful support, a lot of excitement out there. This is fastest growing community in Canada, it's been called. And as I say, I live here, and every day when I drive around, sometimes I'm amazed even at some of the new housing going up. So this is much needed to support the community longer term, and they've been fantastic.
So dream for me, Randy. Take me to 18 months from now when you walk in there for the very first time after the construction's been done and you're ready to, as a hospital, accept that first patient. What does that moment in your mind look like?
I think it's just going to be so fantastic. For me personally, it'll be, I can't wait to the ribbon cutting because being the person that is the lead to make sure this thing gets built is very important to me and very exciting. But more important, I think, is I can't wait to see the look on the staff and the physicians' faces and the first patient that comes through in a modern, new facility, much larger, modern technologies. I can't wait for that. It's going to be probably going to be pretty emotional.
For sure, because I think, and obviously, right in your title, it's capital projects, but you can only build something so much. It's the people inside, as we've talked about, and really giving that and attracting that talent to a small community like this. You want great talent. You want big talent, even in a small town.
You're absolutely right, Sam. And I always look at it this way. I've been doing this for quite a while now in my career. Responsible for facilities and support services and all those things, the bricks and mortar that you require, but it is the people. I've often said we are people who care for people. That's what we do. That's what it's all about. Bricks and mortars are something that's necessary, but what it is all about is our staff, our physicians, the people that care for the people in the community. That's what's really important.
Have you seen the cost rise? We hear about, obviously, the supply chain. We hear about, obviously, the lack of trade people and all of those pieces. Has that affected the bottom line?
Absolutely has. We've seen significant cost increase. Normally when you're going through the planning stages, because it takes a while through the various level of designs, you have cost consultants to look at that and cost it out for the ministry and the hospital. There's always inflationary costs built into that, but we've never seen anything like it because of COVID and the supply chain disruption globally, and just the cost of materials and supplies. We're even seeing delays in getting supplies and all those kinds of things. So that absolutely did impact the total cost of the project. The great news about that, though, is the ministry stepped up to the plate. They increased the funding grant, so thank them very much and really appreciate that. And the foundation has been looking at that all along during the process. And the foundation, again, and the volunteers in the community have stepped up to the plate as well and continue to, and have done an excellent job doing that. Still more money to raise, but well on our way. And again, without that, this project would not move forward.
Let's make a date for 18 months from now, and you can come on and tell me if that date is as amazing as you expect it to be. Would that be good?
I would love to do that.
Fantastic.
And again, really appreciate you folks being here today.
Well, we're so happy to be here. Randy Shaw is also here, Integrated Vice President, Corporate Support Services and Capital Projects with the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital. We are out here live on location. The Sam Laprade Show is on the road. We're here in Carleton Place, but next we're heading to Orleans. We're going to speak with Councillor Matt Luloff. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
It's closing time, and you stayed out longer than you planned. So now you can't drive, and the buses have stopped running. You could always call your girlfriend. Or maybe your roommate? What about your best friend? You could just dial 1-888-TAXI-GUY or use the Taxi Guy app. The call and the app are free, and they both connect you to a local cab company to bring you home safely. Visit arrivealive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive, drive sober.
I'm Julian Armour from Music and Beyond. Join us for a new show this spring on Rogers called Music and Beyond Presents.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Hi, my name's Ange. I'm from the Angelina Hunter Trio. We will be performing this week as part of Encore Ottawa 3, and we really hope that you enjoy our set.
Is City News.
CIWW 1310 AM in Ottawa.
And CJET 1011 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It's Wednesday, November 23rd. Good morning. I'm Pirishka Gopal-Kista. Right now in both Ottawa and in Smiths Falls, 0 degrees and mostly cloudy. Here's what's making news in Ottawa and the Valley. 3 federal ministers are on deck to testify at the inquiry into the Emergencies Act as the commissioner issues a ruling against the convoy lawyer. Here's City News Parliament Hill reporter Cormac McSweeney with the details.
A ruling just came down as the proceedings got underway. The commissioner has dismissed an application from the convoy lawyer that sought to have 4 new witnesses added to the list, have new records produced, and get some portions of current evidence unredacted. It's all part of the convoy's allegations that popped up this week, claiming there was some sort of plan between the federal government and a lobby firm to plant hate symbols within the protest. It's that argument that led to the convoy lawyer being ejected from proceedings yesterday. The commissioner says there's no credible evidence to back up any of these claims. Meanwhile, commission lawyers are now giving a presentation about the public feedback received as part of the inquiry, and it seems the public feels there were failures at all 3 levels of government.
They said that the city should have limited truck access to designated zones without the city, which would have avoided the blockade, what they call a blockade. They also say that the Ottawa police remained inactive despite various complaints that they received of harassment and intimidation by residents of Ottawa.
Later, we'll hear from the Justice, Defence and Transport ministers who will likely be questioned about the decision to invoke the Act, the border blockades and Alberta's request for military resources. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
City News Time, 11:02. Now taking a look at your weather, let's get the latest from our meteorologist, Jill Taylor.
Mainly cloudy conditions for most areas today. Are guaranteed high 3 degrees. Tonight, partly to mainly cloudy, a low -5. And for tomorrow, mainly cloudy for most areas, high near +1. Freezing rain, though, is possible overnight Thursday to Friday morning. And then it all switches over to rain. We climb to 6 degrees. For today, the guaranteed high 3.
Right now in Ottawa, mostly cloudy, 0 degrees. The big U.S. Thanksgiving holiday travel season is underway, and about 55 million Americans are moving to their destinations by car, rail, or air. But reporter Gio Bentones says air travel will be easier this time compared to the summer.
The airlines tell me that they have fixed those problems. What we saw during the summer had to do with having resources in the wrong places. And so the airlines are saying, you know, now we have extra crews on hand, we have extra planes on hand, and that's how they hope to avoid those meltdowns we saw in the summer.
Now, the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration expected yesterday was to be the busiest travel day with roughly 48,000 scheduled flights. And you can watch soccer all day today with Morocco and Croatia getting ready for the early spot. In the late matches, Canada's return to the World Cup stage for the first time in 36 years. City News reporter Chris Curry is with the story.
The local pubs and bars are getting set for 2 p.m. when Canada takes on Belgium. Allison here with the Clock Tower Brew Pub.
So it's really important to us just to have an energy, a full house, everyone on the same page, just excited to be together again.
And the Glebe Central Pub is set to host a number of supporters groups and says World Cup qualifying really piqued the interest of the community in soccer.
And I think being in the World Cup stage is just going to improve that.
Most places are not taking reservations today, so if you want that live sports feel in the bars, you'll have to get out early. Chris Curry's City News.
Now, so far, Japan beat Germany 2-1, and Spain takes on Costa Rica in a few moments. City News Time, 11:04. I'm Perushka Gopal-Kista. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, guess what, everybody? They let me out of the studio at City News, and they let us come all the way to beautiful Carleton Place. And we have been hosted beautifully today by the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital staff and the foundation staff. We're so happy to be here and share the story of this beautiful hospital. We're going to be sharing different stories throughout the day, but we're also bringing you that news of the day, of course, and having other guests join us today. And we're heading all the way to Orleans. A little bit of a road trip there, and we're going to be spending time with Councillor Matt Luloff. Hello, Councillor.
How's it going?
Fantastic. I feel like I just saw you.
Yes, that's right. This weekend we partook as judges in the annual, well, I suppose the pandemic put a bit of a pin in the annual, but stray dog chili competition. It was awesome. I'm glad to hear that you're at the Carleton Place Hospital. My grandmother was a volunteer there for quite some time while my grandfather was spending time there. She's now over in the Manor, just around the corner, but what a wonderful hospital with great staff.
Oh, my heavens, I can't say enough. We've been welcomed here so beautifully, and I appreciate that connection. Thank you so much, Matt. It was lovely to be in Orleans and participate in that. It was a tough job to judge all that chili, but we did it along with a number of others. It was a lot of fun, and as the councillor for Orleans East Cumberland, it's taking me a while to get used to that, by the way, councillor.
Me too, to be quite honest with you. It's it's such a great corner. The great corner of our city, and I'm getting to know my new area, and it was so much easier before just to say Orleans, but quite confusing for the residents of the other two wards in the area, because when you think Orleans, you think all of Orleans. So we ended up doing quite a bit of extra work last term, as I'm sure Bob Manette did, and his predecessor Herb Krelling.
So tell me where you are actually sort of representing now. Give me some boundaries so everybody knows.
Oh, absolutely. If we're looking at the southwestern corner of the ward, my ward begins at where Bilberry Creek meets Innes Road. And then if you follow Bilberry Creek down to the 174, it takes a hook to the east to Champlain, which many people will remember as the street that was the boundary between Old Cumberland and Old Gloucester, right, kind of in the middle of Place Orleans, where perhaps you and I taking the bus and walking to high school back in the day may have gotten off and walked down. Then that goes down to the river, and then the river cuts east all the way out to Canaan Road, the urban boundary of the city of Ottawa, and then I cut up Canaan Road to the south to Willhaven Drive, and then Willhaven back west again up to Cox Country. Cox Country then cuts me up back up to Innes, and then Innes back to Bilberry Creek. It's by population the largest ward now in the city of Ottawa.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's interesting. Interesting fact for sure. So let me ask you, what are you hoping for in the next 4 years? Obviously we have a new mayor, which adds a different dynamic, lots of new faces around that table. What are you looking to do, Matt?
Oh my goodness! Certainly, following the last 4 years, a little bit more harmony around the table would be helpful, or at least a concerted willingness to work together. I do know that despite the fact that we had the pandemic, individual councillors in the city as a whole did get a lot done. A lot of master plans, the official plan, obviously, and then in the East End, in my ward, very pleased to get the Orleans Economic Corridor study completed and passed through council unanimously to start to see some of that economic growth that we've seen in the west and the south finally come to Orleans and kind of put us on the map again. But obviously there were some personal difficulties throughout the last term. It seems as though this new council is very much looking forward to working together. And look, let's be honest. We all come with different perspectives, and naturally in a city of our size, you'll have 15 suburban and rural wards that will tend to see things in a similar fashion, and then the remainder of the urban wards may see things a little bit differently because we face different challenges. But it's going to have to take a willingness to listen and to work together to make this work, and it seems to me that commitment's there. So I think I'm feeling quite hopeful about the next 4 years.
And I'm thinking this would be a time where a lot of people would be jockeying for those positions in terms of committees, either being on the committee, chairing the committee.
Yes.
When I think about Matt Luloff, I think library. I mean, is that something that you're hoping to be a part of moving forward, Matt?
I am such a lover and supporter of our Ottawa Public Library. And given that there's going to be some turnover on the board, typically people serve for 2 terms, and about half the board right now is on their second term. There is a proviso to allow someone to serve a 3rd term, but we also want to ensure that we want to be giving new people an opportunity to bring a fresh perspective. And throughout the election, we did a global search for a new CEO. So we have a brand new CEO. Danielle MacDonald is on her leave now. Right before going on retirement, she gave, almost a decade of incredible service to the Ottawa Public Library, and, over 40 years of service to the city of Ottawa. We're in her debt for the great work that she did on governance over the course of the last 10 years. And we've brought in an incredible chief librarian and CEO in Sonia Bebbington. So despite the fact that, we interviewed people from all over the world, people that worked on projects in Qatar, which is now hosting the World Cup, and all the way, through LA and New York. We landed on Sonia Bebbington. What an amazing addition to this team. And so in order to maintain some stability with all of that, kind of churn, yes, I'm certainly seeking a second term as the chair of the Ottawa Public Library. I love this new project and Etisoke, and love our library system and our great librarians. So I'd love to get back to work with them.
What are those conversations like with the mayor and other councillors? How do you sort of all decide that?
Well, obviously, this is kind of the first major discussion that you have in governance is how we're going to set up. I think that I set a bit of a precedence back in 2018 when I appealed directly to my colleagues for the work that I wanted to do. When Tim Cherney took on the chair of transportation. Following the by-election provincially where Stephen Blais left council, I wanted to lobby or make it very clear that the chairmanship or the chair of the Ottawa Public Library was something that I was very interested in. So I sent an email to all of my colleagues explaining why I wanted to do that, and it seems to have become kind of the norm for people to do that. So if you're interested in chairing a committee, let people know why. And then, so obviously, like with these new strong mayor powers, the mayor can himself himself appoint these people, but has decided not to do so, I think quite wisely. It's important that we feel ownership of these files and that we feel ownership of this council. So I'm sure there'll be some healthy discussions. I've already talked to some of my colleagues about, where I'd like to land and where they'd like to land, and I think that they're all expressing that to the mayor as well. So I think it's a little bit less jockeying and more, gentle requests for support at this point in time. I know that there's many colleagues that didn't hold leadership roles last time around, and I held both the chair of Community and Protective Services, which is a terribly unwieldy committee. I mean, it's everything from housing to bylaw to emergency services and social services. It was Parks and Recreation. I want to spend a little bit more time concentrating on the East End and my ward. So, I don't think I'm seeking two chairs this term at all. And especially in your first term, I would not recommend anyone taking on a chair role. Not that I have regrets of doing it, because I certainly learned a lot, but it is very overwhelming in your first term to try and figure out, the levers and how to get things done. So there are some people that now are veterans that have some good experience on council that'll be seeking chairs. I think that makes a lot of sense. So it'll be interesting to see how things shake out. But I'm quite confident that people will come out of it satisfied with the roles that they're going to play, and will work very hard for the people of Ottawa.
Well, and we'll be looking very closely at that as well. We want to bring all that news to our listeners here at City News of who's going to be chairing all those committees. Councillor Luloff, you've been very generous with your time today. Thank you. Oh, Sam, give me a call anytime. It's always great to chat with you. I hope you have a wonderful time out there in Carleton Place. It's a great place. I appreciate that very much. Councillor Matt Luloff spending time with us today. I have to get used to his new ward name. It's Orleans East Cumberland, and appreciate once again his time today. We are out in Carleton Place, as Matt just referenced, because we are at the Carleton Place and District Memorial.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. That was a lot. I think I need a nap.
It was John's graduation. We were so proud. We all got together for a picnic. That's when we heard coming from the radio. So we stopped and we listened. It helped us get to safety. That's why when I think of John, because now he has a real future to look forward to.
All I wanted was to see a movie. One down, please.
I can't sell downstairs tickets to you people.
How dare they? I could afford to buy the more expensive ticket. I run my own business. But they refused to take my money. They left me there all night. On what charge? They said I didn't pay the theater tax. But it was really about color.
Sister Desmond, appeal this conviction and your community will stand behind you.
Do you have any idea what this will do to us?
So what are you going to do? Make it right.
Viola Desmond's case inspired Nova Scotia's civil rights movement. She was pardoned 63 years later based on the injustice of her conviction.
Bipolar disorder.
Substance addiction. Bulimia. OCD. Want to swap?
One in two
a flip of a coin. That's the same chance we'll experience a mental illness by the time we're 40. $1 a day can help change those odds.
This week on Simply Cooking by Chef, simple salads that will last all week in the fridge, give you a burst of flavor, and will please a big crowd.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Show continues on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Thank you so much for spending time with us here on the Sam Laprade Show. We went on the road today and we went to one of the most beautiful communities. And of course, that is Carleton Place. We love being in the Valley. It's fantastic. We have had such a warm welcome here from everybody at the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital. Today, we're talking about the new emergency room. We're talking about a big campaign that, of course, the staff have gotten behind as well. We're going to be sharing all these stories with you. We're going to be sharing a grateful patient story as well just after the 11:30 news today, but we're also bringing different stories and different perspectives today, and I'm so happy to welcome to the show Dr. Corinne Cote. How are you, Doctor?
I'm very well. How are you, Sam?
Good. Doctor is from the Center for Interpersonal Relationships, a psychologist and a partner there. You know, it's one of those conversations we don't often have, but I really wanted to have it today, and that's about grief. And I often describe, my grief after losing my father as a Jackson Pollock painting, because every grief book that I read, was these 5, 6, or 6 steps he went through grief, and I thought, but my grief didn't look like that. Am I alone in that, Doctor?
Right. No, that's such a good point, Sam. I feel like grief is a normal, very human emotions to have, a very human experience to have, but it certainly does not look like a book, right, where there's 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. It often does not come as a linear sequence. In fact, these phases often come in, they're muddled together. They can come or not come. Some stages can be present, some can appear more than others. It's really different for all different individuals, for sure. It's not as a book, as we say.
And there has been so much loss. And whenever I thought about grief, I think to myself pre-pandemic, when I thought about grief, I only thought about it relating to, and this is my own, sort of my own perception, the loss of somebody or the loss of a pet, or, that someone had passed on. That's where I sort of really aligned the word grief. But we heard the word grief used a lot through the pandemic, aside from the great loss of life, which has been obviously very tragic. But, people were using the term grief for their kids, grieving, some childhoods that were so impacted, or grieving the loss of life as it was. I mean, the word grief was used in different ways through this last couple of years. And I'd love you to talk about that a little bit. Is that something that you would expect?
Absolutely. Grief can be associated with such a wide range of various losses, right? It can, as you said, be associated with the death of a loved one, but it can also be associated with separation or divorce, the loss of a significant relationship or a friendship, can be associated with a serious illness, a diagnosis in us or a loved one, the loss of independence or autonomy. It can be associated with losing a job or an opportunity that was important to us, even a significant change of lifestyle or financial status, something that we, a lot of us have experienced in the past few years, and even losing the ideals we had for our life, for ourselves, for the other. Grief is quite associated with a lot of different losses, and not just the passing of someone we love.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's a term for this, but I think about, what happened in Uvalde, Texas. I think about what happened in Colorado Springs this past, weekend with the loss of people through such a terrific, horrific way to die. I mean, I just think that's, there's a lot of people that are sort of hearing about these news stories. Just even last evening, in Virginia, people killed going to Walmart. I mean, although it hasn't happened to us particularly, Dr. Cote, is there some sort of level of grief there when we hear these things, for instance, in our newscast?
Of course, there is. Even though it doesn't happen to us directly, seeing other human beings going through such horrific events, not only can we feel for them and their loved ones losing such important others, but also the grief of what we think our world is, right? Mm-hmm. We like to think of our world as a safe, inclusive place. And when we see these horrific events, seeing innocent people going through this and their loved ones going through this, it's very easy to feel feelings associated with grief in those experiences as well. Yes.
Mm-hmm. One thing I love about the show that we do here every single day is we really do try to provide resources. How can someone reach out? What's the next step for someone that's maybe, our conversation is resonating with them today? So give us a sense. Where should we start if we've maybe had a loss and we haven't really maybe fully grieved that loss? Where would you suggest we go?
Well, certainly. The first thing that we need to do is to normalize our experience and really identify, my reactions to grief is normal and I can get help if needed. I can turn to my sources of support that are immediate, our friends and family and colleagues, but I can certainly also always reach out to mental health professionals. We have lots of community services in Ottawa. We have a lot of private practices in Ottawa, and certainly at the Centre for Interpersonal Relationships, a lot of our mental health professionals are equipped to accompany individuals that are dealing with grief and feeling stuck in their grief. So reaching out to a professional can really help, understand the grieving process and what are the related emotions and needs, develop coping strategies, learning how to share our own experiences with our loved ones, and maybe redefine what our new normal can look like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And one last question. How do we support our children through grief? Because, sometimes even as adults, we find it hard to work our way through it. How can we support our kids?
We don't. One thing that is very important that we do mention to parents is we need to let our kids feel their grief. We don't want to have them avoid their experience. We want to help them label their emotions, their reactions, and letting them know that this is a very normal experience. We also want to dedicate time to talk about what grief is, how they can really externalize it and talk about it. And we want to be compassionate and have them being compassionate with themselves, right? Being able to be kind and to really recognize that, again, this is very normal, and we can have empathy towards ourselves and for them going through a situation like this, grief. We want them to know that they can always talk about it and always have support around them. It's very similar to support ourselves individually as adults as well. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Things have changed so much and for the better. These conversations so often,
Absolutely.
certainly, in when I was young, those conversations were very sort of swept under the carpet, to be honest with you. So, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to spend time with you today. You've been very generous. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me. Have a great day.
You too, Dr. Cote, spending time with us, psychologist, partner for the Centre for Interpersonal Relationships, and they certainly have a great website there. I've gone there myself a couple of times. Appreciate heading to that website. We wanted to come straight from Carleton Place today because we wanted to spend time at the beautiful hospital sharing stories with you. We have a story coming up right after the 11:30 news today. You will not want to miss it. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Hi everybody, my name is Brian Aslan and I'm with the Commotions. We are performing Encore Ottawa 3 this week. Be sure to tune in.
It isn't the heavy trays that make the job difficult, or the fast pace you need to keep up. It's not working another double because someone called in sick. What makes the job tough is the moment you realize a customer has had enough and you have to make that decision not to overserve. Refusing service isn't personal, it's the law. We know it's not easy, but we're counting on you to keep us all safe. Thank you, servers, for doing the tough job.
Once upon a time, in a nursery rhyme, there were 3 bears. 1, 2, 3 bears. And they went a-walking in the cool woods a-talk.
Rogers TV invites you to let your imagination roam as we present Ottawa Storytellers. Each week, we'll present a collection of original creative stories and inspirations for children of all ages. Join us for Ottawa Storytellers on Rogers TV.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It's Thursday, November 23rd. Good morning. I'm Pirishka Gopal-Kista. Right now in both Ottawa and in Smiths Falls, mostly cloudy, 1 degree. Here's what's making news this hour. 3 more federal ministers will take the stand today to testify about the decision made to use the Emergencies Act to clear out the Freedom Convoy protesters back in February. First up, we're hearing from Federal Justice Minister David Laprade, and later we'll hear from Defense Minister Anita Anand and then Transport Minister Omar Al-Gabra. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is expected to testify on Friday, but we'll have more on this at the top of the hour from our Parliament Hill reporter Cormac McSweeney. QP members have from tomorrow until Monday, December 5th, to cast their vote to accept or reject the deal hammered out at the bargaining table last weekend. 55,000 members are eligible to vote on the deal that fell short, according to the union, on some issues, but it is recommending acceptance. Now the union says it will release the results of the vote on Tuesday, December 6th. An 83-year-old woman from Van Lake Hill is $60 million richer. Vera Page won the Lotto Max jackpot on November 1st. She says she plans to share the winnings with family members and donate some of it to charity. And checking in with the World Cup, Morocco takes on Croatia in the early match. So far, Spain scored 2-0 against Costa Rica, and the most anticipated match is when Canada takes on Belgium at 2 p.m. City News Time, 11:32. I'm Pirishka Gopal-Kista. For more news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Thank you so much for spending time with us here on the Sam Laprade Show. We are in beautiful Carleton Place, and we're so happy to be here. We're at the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital. We've been talking about all different aspects of this hospital today, but I don't think anything drives home the care at this hospital like a patient story. And we're so happy to welcome Skylar Etherington. Hi, Skylar.
Hi, Sam.
I'm so happy that you're here because this is the reason we're here is to hear stories like yours today.
Well, I'm super grateful to be here today. I'm actually so excited because one thing that I found throughout my journey is that I like to inspire others, and I hope that everyone can take something away from my story.
Oh, I guarantee it. Absolutely. Let's get started. First of all, how old are you?
I'm 19 years old.
19,
Yeah.
okay. And you've got this beautiful smile. I mean, people can't see it on the radio, but I'm just going to tell them about it. You have a beautiful smile, very joyful. It wasn't always like that.
No. I was always kind of like a happy kid, smiley kid. But one thing when I got diagnosed that became clear to me was living in the moment and not taking the days for granted. And I found that was something that I really want to do for the rest of my life now, is just be grateful that I get to be on Earth every day. And it can just be the smallest things, whether it be the sun shining. And I find that as well, I've kind of learned a lot about myself, and I'm very excited about the person who I'm becoming. And so for once in my life, I feel very secure in who I am, which is crazy because.
And you can just tell, by the way, it just comes through, when you meet you. So let me ask you this. You talked about a diagnosis. So take me to that moment. Were you not feeling well? What was sort of happening?
So it was very slow, and then all of a sudden it just was very fast. So I had slowly started noticing that things were off. I was constantly getting sick with just the craziest illnesses, like bacterial pneumonia was one. And then I had just kind of this lump kind of shoot out of my neck. It had been there for a while, but the pneumonia that I had really caused it to get bigger quite quickly. And I knew something was wrong. So when I got told what the diagnosis was, I wasn't surprised at all. I knew there was something completely off with me. I was an athlete for many years, and getting up for my job or for school was like a chore, which is so unlike me. So it was actually relieving when I got diagnosed.
And the care you received, I mean, we're right here at the hospital. We're live on location today because we wanted to share these kinds of stories. When you got that diagnosis and the treatment that you received here, how would you describe that?
So, I received my actual chemo at the General in Ottawa, but with the chemo, you are at risk for fevers and infections quite easily. So I was in and out of here a lot. And one thing that I was super appreciative of was how quickly they moved and how comfortable they made me feel. Because there's a lot of anxiety that comes with going to a hospital when you have cancer, and you have a hard time advocating for yourself, and they made sure I was comfortable and just made sure to keep my mind off of the pain that I was in and how I was feeling, and just made sure that when I would leave, I would be okay. And made sure that my oncologist as well was on the same page. So it made it very easy to be coming in here.
So we are here today at the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital, and the staff, although they're working hard, a few of them are listening. And I would love you to, share what it was like to be treated here and tell them how much you appreciate that.
Well, it was actually hard to put into words how grateful I am for how I was treated.
Laprade will be right back on City News
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Hi, my name's Ange. I'm from the Angelina Hunter Trio. We will be performing this week as part of Encore Ottawa 3, and we really hope that you enjoy our set.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
On Thursday's Daytime Ottawa, we are joined by Vets Without Borders. We're going to tell you about their fantastic initiative, which revolves around Giving Tuesday. That's right, it's just around the corner, an important topic and a great way for us to raise funds for those organizations that are important to us. We'll also tell you about a group of activists who's put together an incredible documentary about violence against women. And Hospice Care Ottawa has their holiday pop-up shop. We'll give you all the details.
It feels like home. I walk in and I feel so comfortable, and I'm always getting, like, whether it's a nurse or a doctor walking by, I always get smiles and everything. Like, it's like walking in and getting a big hug almost.
Oh, that's amazing. And I understand you've raised some money.
Yes, I
So
did.
tell me about that.
One thing that I wanted to do at the end of my my treatments was to give back, because a lot of the community and this hospital did so much for me, whether it was donating to the GoFundMe or that I had, or bringing meals to my family. So one thing that became clear was I wanted to give back, and I felt that I wanted to raise money towards the hospital, because everyone, when they walk through these doors, should get the same level of care that I got. It doesn't matter whether or not you're a cancer patient or if you're just coming in here because you've got a broken foot. Everyone should get the same level of care. And I believe that everyone deserves it. So I wanted to kind of give back a little bit of what I got, and just kind of say thank you, because it's hard to put into words how grateful I truly am.
Absolutely. And as I think about how young you are, what's your goal? Where will we see you in a decade, Skylar?
So what's crazy is right before I got diagnosed, I was getting ready to go to school for nursing.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm looking, I actually just the other day applied to school for nursing or to become a first responder. So either a firefighter or a paramedic.
Do you think that this experience, this diagnosis nobody would ever want to receive at your age at any time in their lives, will actually make you better someday if you're at the bedside?
Yes, and I tell people now, and people look at me like I'm crazy. If I was to go back in time, I would do it all over again, because it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, as terrible as it is.
Wow. Have you matured?
Yeah. I've aged myself.
Yeah. It really is amazing. What would you want someone to know about this hospital that maybe I wouldn't even know to ask you?
The one thing about this hospital is that it doesn't matter if you are from all the way 50 minutes outside of Carleton Place, it's a family here. And we treat every patient like it's family. And that's the one thing I love about this town too, is it's family. It doesn't matter what paths you come from. You are treated no different than the other.
And if somebody is facing something today, they might be driving, listening to City News, they might be driving to their chemo appointment. What would you say to them?
It may not feel like there's an end or that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but there is. And it's brighter than any other darkness or anything else. And it's the one thing that I didn't realize at the time, and felt like there wasn't an end until I got there. And the positive enjoyed. I've also gone and done like Relay for Life, some speaking around the schools in the community just this past year, so that I might do a little bit more of that as well, hopefully.
Now, I'll tell you, I've interviewed thousands of people, and there's about 5 or 6 interviews that stay on my heart. Today's will stay on my heart for a long, long time.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate your time and sharing your story. It's a difficult story to tell, but you managed to do it in joy.
Yeah, because I do think that as terrible as it is, and I don't wish it upon anyone, I think it's also a good story to tell in the sense of I hope people find courage from it and strength, and everyone has their own journey.
Well, I did. Thank you. Skylar Etherington joining us today, a grateful patient at the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
After a night out with your friends, there's always options for getting home safely. You could call your BFF, your mom or dad, whoever you can count on for a safe ride home. You could call your favorite cab company or 1-888 taxi guy. Or you could use the Arrive Alive smartphone app to help you choose your ride. Be it a friend, transit, or taxi, getting home safely is app easy. Now available for iOS and Android devices. Visit arrivealive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
After a 2-year hiatus, we are back with brand new episodes of Celebrate Ottawa starting this fall. We showcase remarkable people highlighting the city's diversity in arts, culture, sports, and nature. We will show you features that will entertain you and will even teach you new things. Join me, your host, Lila Grind, as we explore and celebrate Ottawa.
From coast to coast, all across Canada, there's something very special going on. It's time to show your support. Time to spread the word. Time to demonstrate your commitment to safe and sober driving. Join thousands of Canadians and tie a ribbon on something or someone you love. And take the time to have a real conversation about impaired driving. Mad Project Red Ribbon. Tie it, wear it, show it, share it, live it. Find out more at mad.ca.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
This week on Simply Cooking by Chef, simple salads that will last all week in the fridge, give you a burst of flavor, and will please a big crowd.
Hi, my name's Ange. I'm from the Angelina Hunter Trio. We will be performing this week as part of Encore Ottawa 3, and we really hope that you enjoy our set.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
On Thursday's Daytime Ottawa, we are joined by Vets Without Borders. We're going to tell you about their fantastic initiative, which revolves around Giving Tuesday. That's right, it's just around the corner, an important topic and a great way for us to raise funds for those organizations that are important to us. We'll also tell you about a group of activists who's put together an incredible documentary about violence against women. And Hospice Care Ottawa has their holiday pop-up shop. We'll give you all the details.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
It's so great to be here in Carleton Place. We're at the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital today. We did a bit of a road trip with our City News crew, and we decided, what the heck, we're going to bring one of our best friends along with us, and that is Wendy Boomer from Country 92.3. How are you, Miss Wendy?
I'm amazing, but I don't know how you follow that.
Wasn't she amazing? Oh. For those that are just tuning in, we just heard the most beautiful, grateful patient story from Skylar Etherington, and she was reflecting on, the care that she received at this hospital. And I don't know about you, but I'll think about that interview for the rest of my life.
Yeah, 19 years old, so well spoken. Obviously went through something and has taken it all in stride as a positive in her life, which is just, again, nothing's positive when you're 19, right?
Exactly.
So for her to come out on the other side of this the way she has, and to inspire others and share the story she did, and just the way she did, she's going to take all our jobs.
I know. That's why I said as soon as we hung up, I said, Wendy, I'm going to be working for Skylar someday. She was fantastic. And, you made the trek, and the beautiful trek, to Carleton Place today because this hospital means a lot to you too, Wendy.
Yeah. Over the last year, we've been talking about it an awful lot, CKBY and Country 92.3. Specifically because we're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year, and unfortunately, just before we were about to celebrate our 50th anniversary, we lost one of our dear friends and colleagues, Janice Tompkins. And this is somebody who was a champion in this community, and she was taken from us suddenly. So I guess I'll say in that sense that she unfortunately didn't have the chance to receive any care at a fine facility like this. However, she was really trying to bolster this hospital and give it what it needs and what it deserves, because she's seen what it's done within the community and what it had done for those close to her before her passing as well. So in her honor, another incredible employee of ours, Terry Lynn, decided that, we need to basically make our 50th anniversary a time to celebrate and thank those in the community who've stuck with us throughout all these years, but also give back and celebrate Janice, who would have been waving a big old flag this year, throwing us the biggest party, cheersing us the whole time, and making sure that, again, really there was a point to us celebrating as well, right? More than just celebrations. Again, giving back to this community. We've been a community station for 50 years. And so the Janice Tompkins Fund is something that we created to tie in with our 50th anniversary kind of celebrations and some of the things we've been doing throughout the year. And we've been raising funds all year round. I don't have the dollar amount of how close we are quite to our goal, but I know we are very close to our goal, and there's a couple things happening still in the background, mostly internally within our business and our employees. Right now, we're running a little bit of a silent auction with employees across Ontario, and having some fun with that, and an opportunity to have the company help us as well by matching some dollars. So, just the fact that everybody's kind of coming in all different ways. There's people across Ontario that never knew Janice that are supporting this great cause, that are supporting this hospital. It's, again, I'm just so impressed with everything that's been accomplished with this over the last year. And I'm just a voice. I got to thank all the people behind the scenes who really make this thing happen.
And it really has been amazing to be here today. We've met so many incredible people, from the president and the CEO to grateful patients to people, making the work happen here at the hospital. And it just, there's a thread through it all, and that's passion. People are passionate about this hospital. They're passionate about Carleton Place. But there's something about coming to a small town and a small town hospital. And, Skylar referenced it earlier. She said it still feels like home when she came today, right? So there is just something about it. It really becomes the heart of a community. And knowing that in 18 months from now, they're going to have this great new facility. It's going to be up to, the standards of today. It takes not only, of course, a community to back it, but the staff has to get behind it. And they're doing matching gifts right now, if you can believe it. Not only do they work here, they've put their own money forward, and they want to have those gifts matched. It really is inspiring.
Again, and the fact that so many hospitals, I don't want to go too deep into that, right, but need these funds and need all this help is a slight shame, especially after the year that we've been through. As a planet. So true, but to see everybody come together, and again, to make this, we're just such a vast area as well. Like as Skylar mentioned, we're just going to keep talking about Skylar because she's such a perfect reference for this. But that she's gone to multiple hospitals within the area, but she was welcome to come back here to her home hospital to have that comfort. To think that a hospital needs more funds and more room and a better emergency department is such a shame, right? But the ground was broken here a few weeks ago. It felt so good. I was so impressed with the space that's back there and how big this emergency department is not only going to be, but how necessary it is again for this area. It is so necessary to have a grand emergency department, right? You know, I mean, as we continue to grow as communities, so do our hospitals. They need to, right? So, so it's just, I know that there was a lot of smiles at the groundbreaking a few weeks ago. I'm getting a little emotional because Terry Lynn was standing beside me, and just before the ceremony started, literally the clouds parted.
Wow.
And there was not a cloud in the sky. It was a blue, crystal clear blue, sunshiny day as they put those shovels in the ground. Beautiful. And she was like, yep. That was ordered by our friend Janice, you know, but so there was a lot of smiles and a lot of excitement, but there was a lot of tears too, because again, this is a project that the hospitals wanted to really get going for quite some time. So to have that ground finally broken, and we're finally in the right pace of what needed to happen for this hospital. It's about dang time, and we're so happy to be able to be a part of it.
And we spoke a little bit earlier with Randy Shaw, who is in charge of capital projects here at the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital. And, 18 months, that seems like a long time. It's not a long time.
No.
So this hospital is getting that emergency room quite quickly. That emergency department is going to be, something that this community will remember for a very long time. It'll serve generations to come, just as this, where you and I sit today.
Yeah, and again, I was standing out there on it's the helipad that basically they're going to be expanding it to, right? And I said, look at all this space. Like I was astounded at how much can happen and how much they have accomplished in this time. And just, again, the plans that have gone into place to make this happen, all the work that goes in behind it, like you said, 18 months. Well, think about how long they've been planning this. Think about how long they've been waiting for that ground to be broken. So for it to be, finally underway is just absolutely huge.
And normally when we're together on Wednesdays with Wendy Boomer, we're talking about what's happening in the Valley. I couldn't think of anything better than just to bring you here and say, Wendy, this is what's happening in the Valley.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, thank you for having me. And thanks again to the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital for having me, because Skylar said it. They're like family here, and I have never needed treatment here, and they are already treating me like family every time I walk through the door.
Absolutely.
There is something special here.
And we have lots of great guests coming up. We're going to be speaking as well with different staff members. We're going to be speaking with someone that actually is a nurse in the emergency department, which I think anybody that's a nurse in an emergency department, I want to spend time with them, because they've just got that special something. So we're going to spend time with them. We're also going to spend time with a staff member by the name of Ellen, who is the ultrasound technologist. We're also going to spend some time with Nadine O'Sullivan, who's a psychotherapist. Linda McGreevy is going to join us as well. She is a foundation board chair and the Healthy Futures Together campaign advisor. So getting her perspective is going to be really interesting as well. And Marka Gormley is going to join us, an RN and interim manager of the Medical, Surgical and Emergency Unit. So lots to talk about today from Carleton Place. We're just so happy to be here. This is an opportunity when, I was approached a number of weeks ago and said, hey, Sam, do you want to do your show live on location from the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital? I was like, I can't think of a better place to be, because I knew the spirit of Janice would be here in terms of, she's cheering us on. We want to raise this money. We want to make sure that this hospital has everything they need. Wendy, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate your time always.
I will continue listening while I go to the famous general store and get the famous butter tarts.
Okay, so that's where I want to go next.
Okay.
I have to ask our news director, Mark Day, if he'll take me there. But absolutely appreciate that very much. We certainly appreciate you listening. And I'm getting lots of messages on social media and through texts and emails, people listening to us, and they're so happy that we're in the Valley. And, we love being number one in Ottawa. We love being number one in the Valley, and to be here and to see the faces of the people that are caring for people at this beautiful hospital, it really is special. We'll just never forget it. We appreciate it very much. If you want to stay with us, we're bringing the news to you next. Lock it in to City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Hi everybody, My name is Brian Aslan, and I'm with the Commotions. We are performing Encore Ottawa 3 this week. Be sure to tune in.
When an impaired driver killed my brother DJ, some people used the A word. They called it an accident, but it wasn't. An accident implies that no one was at fault. But when someone impaired by alcohol and/or drugs chooses to drive, they're fully responsible for the crash that can result. So please, for the memory of my brother DJ and the thousands of families whose lives have been shattered by impaired drivers, let's drop the A word.
A crash caused by impaired driving is not an accident.
There we go. You're going back in, okay?
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
City News.
CIWW 1310 AM in Ottawa.
And CJET 1011 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It's Wednesday, November 23rd. Good afternoon. I'm Perishka Gopal-Kista. Right now in both Ottawa and in Smiths Falls, mostly cloudy, 1 degree. Here's what's making news in Ottawa and the Valley. We're now hearing from one of the 3 ministers set to testify today at the inquiry into the Emergencies Act. It comes as the Commissioner dismisses an application from the convoy lawyer. City News Parliament Hill reporter Cormac McSweeney joins us with what we know so far.
Federal Justice Minister David Laprade has taken the stand, starting out his testimony by explaining his unique role and the differences between his dual jobs as a minister and then as well as the Attorney General of Canada.
And again, in that role, I will give advice to the Cabinet and to the Prime Minister directly from time to time. On most pieces of legislation, for example.
After Laprade, we'll hear from Defense Minister Anita Anand and Transport Minister Omar Al-Gabra, who will both likely be questioned about the decision to invoke the Emergencies Act, the border blockades, and Alberta's request for military resources. Now, as proceedings began today, the commissioner running the inquiry issued a ruling dismissing an application from the convoy lawyer to try and produce more evidence and call 4 more witnesses as a part of his allegation that there was some sort of plot to plant hate symbols within the protest between a lobby firm and the federal government. The commissioner says the allegations are based on no credible evidence and he can't grant the requests. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
City News time 12:01. Now taking a look at your weather for the next few days. Let's get the latest from City News meteorologist Jill Taylor.
We've got mainly cloudy conditions for Ottawa, the Valley, Smiths Falls for today, for most of tomorrow, and then just a heads up Thursday overnight into Friday. We could be dealing with some freezing rain before it changes over to all rain and some showers at times for the weekend as well. And here are the temperatures: 3 the guaranteed high, -5 for the low, just +1 tomorrow, but highs near 6 or 7 degrees for Friday and Saturday. For today, the guaranteed high, 3.
Right now in both Ottawa and in Smiths Falls, mostly cloudy, +1. The long-awaited report into Stage 1 of the city's LRT system is due next week. City News reporter Chris Curries takes a look on what we can expect.
It will have recommendations and will be delivered next week, and the keys are not repeating these same mistakes again, but also knowing where things went wrong. That's from Ottawa Transit riders and board member Laura Shantz, who says it will likely lead to some wholesale changes at OC Transpo, especially with ridership that has not returned to normal, including a reevaluation of just where people are going.
We might need to mix things up. Maybe people aren't going to the same destinations, and we need to prioritize new and different places that they're going for more transit coverage.
She says that needs to be based on data, not about the financial bottom line. Chris Curries, City News.
The health minister is under fire at Queen's Park amid a worsening situation in Children's Hospital. City's Richard Southern reports.
Well, pediatric wait times, by all accounts, are continuing to balloon. And we found out yesterday that a third children's hospital in the province, the Children's Hospital at the London Health Science Centre, is cancelling surgeries. But today, Health Minister Sylvia Jones defended the situation by pointing at previous governments.
These are not new issues and not new problems. We were left, frankly, with a health system that was in dire need of investments. Our government has made those investments. We continue to make those investments.
That answer not good enough for the NDP's Peggy Sattler.
How can the Premier possibly defend a plan that causes sick children and their families to suffer?
I understand. This is very challenging.
The minister went on to encourage everyone to get their flu and COVID booster shots. Richard Southern, City News.
Now, some of the top health officials will be meeting this afternoon to discuss pediatric vaccinations. The Minister of Health, Jean-Yves Duclos, and the city's top doctor, Vera Etches, will be among those at this afternoon's meeting in Ottawa. They will be meeting at 1 p.m. at the Ottawa Public Health Vaccination Clinic at J.H. Putnam School. And if you're hoping to watch Canada take on Belgium this afternoon, there are a few places in the city that you can go to. There's a viewing party at the Glebe Central Pub, the other one at the Hometown Sports Grill on Bank Street. And throughout the match, staff will be drawing names for a chance to win Team Canada jerseys. And lastly, there's a viewing party at the Louis Riel Dome in Ottawa's East End. City News Time, 12:04. I'm Perishka Gopal-Kista. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
Connecting you and your community. This is the Sam Laprade Show on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on City News. I'm Sam Laprade, and normally it's Lunch with Sam, and we're talking about those news subjects of the day. We're feasting on those. Well, a little bit different today. We took a road trip all the way to beautiful Carleton Place, and we're coming live from the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital. We're going to meet some incredible people that really make this hospital what it is. And first up is Carrie Ann Campbell, in Emergency Department RN. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks, Sam.
So I love speaking with Emergency Department RNs because nothing phases you, right?
Well, over the years, it definitely gets a little bit easier.
Absolutely. How long have you been a nurse?
I'm coming up to 30 years.
30 years. Now, for those that are, you can't see beautiful Carrie Ann, but you don't look like you could be a nurse for 30 years. How long have you been at this particular hospital?
18 years. I was at the Civic Hospital prior to that.
Wow. And what's it like to be employed in a community that you live in?
It was really interesting because I worked at the Civic for years, and one of the girls that I work with lived in Carleton Place but did not grow up here. So we started commuting together because I've been in Carleton Place my whole life, grew up here. So anyways, we started commuting to the Civic together, and she ended up starting to work in the emergency here. It took her 2 years to talk me into coming here. My biggest fear was that I grew up here, my family lives here, all my friends. How would that be in the face of coming into the emergency and seeing Carrie Ann, who you grew up with and you knew? It ended up, she finally talked me into it, and I have no regrets. I was very welcomed by the community, and people like to see a familiar face.
I was thinking that.
It really was the opposite of what I thought it was going to be. And it's really reassuring. I've had so many people say so many times, I'm so glad you're here, or are you working today? I'll get a call or a text. So it is nice to work in your own community.
Because it goes on the theme of earlier we spoke with a grateful patient by the name of Skylar Etherington, and she blew us all away, and she was incredible talking about her time here. But she did reference this hospital as feeling like home. And often, I don't think we can refer to hospitals as feeling like home very often, but I think it's because of the people.
Exactly. And often when you're coming into the emergency, there's a lot of fear and stress around just coming to the hospital, especially these days in the face of, the global pandemic and people not wanting to expose themselves to anything. And of course, when you come to the hospital, it's kind of maybe, a little bit more risky than going to the Walmart store or something like that. Anyways, people feel very comfortable. They feel safe when they come here. And with multiple visits, they'll say, it's so nice to see you again. I like, you know what I mean? There's a trust that builds. Even the ones that you don't know, you get to know.
Absolutely. We were speaking with one of your colleagues earlier, Randy Shaw, in charge of that capital project, in charge of building this new emergency department. How excited are you as an RN in the emergency department to have that brand new location?
It's extremely exciting. I've done what I can to help out with that, especially with the planning of the department. I'm so excited, just the size of it, the quality of the equipment, the planning that went into making sure every type of healthcare is addressed, everything you could think of when a patient walks in. It's right down to the size of the table, the amount of chairs. So it was really exciting, and I think that people deserve it. We've had the same hospital. The building is 70 years old. Just having a new spot with all the high-end equipment gives people hope. It's been a hard, rough few years in general for the whole world. So we're really blessed that this project continued and that we do have hope and we have access to great healthcare with employees and with actual equipment in a new building.
And you referenced it, the last couple of years have been very challenging. How do you, as someone that's working every single day, keep up the hope in the work that you do? How do you sort of fill your bucket every day?
A lot of different things, definitely personal things. I try to take care of myself, but we have such a great family atmosphere here. The sense of community at the hospital is second to none. So we do provide a lot of peer-to-peer support. Unofficially, we're there for each other. We always have our go-to people, and that can be anyone. It doesn't have to be directly related to healthcare, but all our support staff, everyone comes together. If you're concerned about someone, you know that something's going on and there'll be someone there for you. And that's huge, because often coming to work in these times, not just at the hospital, but anywhere, it's a big stressor, especially if you haven't had to come in every day, and knowing that someone's there that you can count on for that little bit of support is huge.
How has nursing changed, Carrie Ann, in the last, 3 decades?
There's a lot of differences. I think it's the amount of pressures. I mean, it's the same profession over the years. It's just more with, modernization, things have changed and for the better, for the most part. I remember we didn't even have cell phones when I started nursing. We didn't use computers. So it's been faster. Technology really helps improve the quality of care and makes our job a bit easier and gives us more time for the things that we can do with teaching and direct patient care. So I think the biggest change is technology, and we don't have to wear white dresses and hats anymore.
Right. I'm thinking back. I think I remember those days.
Oh yes,
actually.
and white shoes.
And
white was really
shoes.
impractical. I don't know how nurses decided white was the way to go.
That's so true. I never thought about that. What would you say to your colleagues about what it's like to come here and work with them every day?
This is a great atmosphere. It's always been a good place to work. We retain nurses because of that reason, and other staff, all the staff, right from the housekeeping and physio, dietary, everyone upstairs, all the nurses up there, every person, all the registration, booking, everybody contributes and supports each other. And I think that makes everything easier.
Your perspective is so interesting because I think, as an emergency department RN, which is a job, by the way, I could never do, if you had a loved one that was rushed here for some, horrible reason, we don't want them to be, of course, but if you had that, what sense of relief would you have knowing that they were
kids, they've received, and my kids, of course, excellent care. It just makes a huge difference that we have access to quality care so close to home.
And this new emergency department, obviously, as I referenced, going to be ready in about 18 months. Is it going to be hard in the next 18 months to wait for that?
It gives us hope, but it is. I mean, honestly, it's been a long process. Kind of a hiccup over 2 years because of COVID, but we persevered. Everybody, the whole team that helped with the planning, design, fundraising, persevered, which it's so hard when you get kind of a roadblock up, and so 18 months is nothing. It's been a long haul, so I think it's going to come really quick, and even just seeing the trucks out there in the parking lot getting rearranged just gives us it's just a really great feeling.
So I know how much you love Carleton Place, and it'll just make it that much sweeter, right?
Definitely.
That's amazing. Really great to spend time today with Carrie Ann Campbell, an emergency department registered nurse. Appreciate not only her joining me today, but for everything you've done, Carrie Ann. It really is remarkable work. Like I said, couldn't do it. I have the utmost respect. We are spending time today at the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital because we want to get to know the people behind this hospital as they have that final push to raise as much money as they can to make sure that the emergency department is exactly what they need for this community. When we come back, we're going to speak with another frontline staff member and get to know her. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Hi, my name's Ange. I'm from the Angelina Hunter Trio. We will be performing this week as part of Encore Ottawa 3, and we really hope that you enjoy our set.
My husband is a wonderful man and a great father when he's not drinking. I'm so angry he chooses alcohol over us. If he really loved us, he'd stop drinking, right? My counselor suggested I try Al-Anon. I didn't understand why. I'm not the one with the problem, but I'm glad I went. Do you worry about someone's drinking? You are not alone. Al-Anon or Alateen can help. Call 866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
Monsieur de Champlain, when I finish paddling through this wilderness and reach China, I shall greet them wearing this.
Monsieur Nicolet, your mission shall be for the honor of the king and the Holy Faith.
In the summer of 1634, Jean Nicolet set off from Quebec to find a trade route that would link Europe and North America with China.
But where is it?
Further, I know the place you are seeking.
For months, Nicolet pushed through the wilderness, searching for the Western Sea.
Georgia! Mississippi!
What did he say?
He says, Mississippi, great water.
Mississippi, the sea, China.
Jean Nicolet was wrong. It was Lake Michigan, not the Pacific. But others would follow his dream, Joliet, La Salle, the La Vérendrys, and they would map most of North America from the Rockies to the Gulf of Mexico.
What is it?
Anxiety disorder.
Depression.
Clear.
PTSD. 1 in 2. A flip of a coin. That's the same chance we'll experience a mental illness by the time we're 40. $1 a day can help change those odds and bring hope to those in need.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
At the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital, and we're here for a very good reason. This hospital means so much to this community, and we wanted to be here to meet the people behind the hospital as they head towards this very important time, which is raising those last dollars to get this emergency department built. We wanted to spend some time today with Ellen Crawford, an ultrasound technologist. How are you, Ellen?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
So how long does it take you to get to work, Ellen?
About 5 minutes.
About 5 minutes. And how do you get here?
I walk.
You walk. So you're right around the corner from this beautiful hospital.
Yes.
How long have you worked here?
I've worked here for about 14 years.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. And what brought you to the hospital?
Well, I grew up in the area just down the road in Almont. And just so happened there was a job opening here, and I was living in Ottawa at the time, so I took the job and decided I really liked it here. So I decided to move right into town to save the commute.
That's fantastic. Yeah. That's a great quality of life thing to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about your job. So ultrasound technologist, I mean, I've gone for ultrasounds before, but tell me a little bit about the education it would take to be a technologist.
Well, it's a couple years of a college program, and about half of that time is spent doing practicum. You're out in various clinics and hospitals practicing and learning on real patients with a teacher, and it's quite an intensive program, lots of studying. It's very busy. Yeah, because there's a lot to learn. And I would say even when you graduate, the first 5 years of working, you're still learning a lot. Yeah.
And when people come to the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital for an ultrasound, they're seeing you, they're seeing your colleagues. How important is it to have that right in the heart of Carleton Place?
Oh, it's great. Well, first of all, we need imaging everywhere because lots of people need imaging tests for all different reasons, and it's great for the people of Carleton Place to have it close to home. Not everyone has a car, not everyone drives. There's lots of seniors, right? It's really nice to have something that they can get to easily. You don't have a huge parking lot, you don't have highway traffic, and people really appreciate that when they come.
Absolutely, 100%. And, you know, I think a lot of people don't understand that, you know, equipment such as ultrasound and you know, all of the different pieces, the equipment side, that comes from the community, just as this new emergency department, that's coming from the community. Of course, the government pays the lion's share, but without the community support, you know, these things aren't a reality right around the corner, right here at the hospital. It's a key piece.
Yes, and we have a very generous community, a lot of great support.
And the staff have really stepped up. What's that been like? Because I know, you know, you work here all day long, and then you're asked to, you know, to sort of think about the fundraising side from a staff perspective. What was that like?
Well, it's important to us because as staff members, a lot of us are also patients and clients of the hospital. I mean, I myself have visited emergency. I've come to physio. I've had x-rays done, and so has my family. So we're not just staff members, we're also community members.
Such a good point. And the staff have really stepped up. There's a matching opportunity right now, right through till Giving Tuesday. How important was it for you to sort of say as a staff, okay, we're going to, you know, do this piece and encouraging the community to match those dollars? Because it does incentivize people to give more, right?
Yes, that's right. Well, you just get the momentum going. Yeah.
How many patients would you see in a week?
In a week? Around 40 to 50 patients a week.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, it adds up.
That's a lot of people. And what are you normally sort of seeing people for?
Oh, here at this hospital, there's a wide range of things. People think ultrasound is just for pregnancy, but it's so much more than that. Your abdominal pain, your blood clots, your shoulder injuries. We also do echocardiography here, which is ultrasound of the heart. And the thyroid, I could go on and on. There's a long list of exams that we do here.
And we've met a grateful patient today. We've met some of your other colleagues. They all describe it as, a place where there's, you walk in, the people that are here. It has that home-like atmosphere and that opportunity to really feel connected to that small town hospital. And there's just something about living in a small town and working at the small town hospital. But make no mistake about it, it might be the small town hospital, but there's big things happening here.
Yes. And we're a small town hospital, but we're big on care.
Big on care.
Right?
I like that. Hey, they might use that in the campaign or something. They might scoop that from you. It's really amazing to think, how often we turn to our hospital and really, it becomes part of our family. When you think about all of the different times we've been through this pandemic, did you continue to work through all of that time?
Oh, yes. And honestly, I was happy to. I love my job, and I was so grateful during the pandemic that every day I still got to come to work.
Wow.
It was so important. I was really fortunate to still see my coworkers, and we were seeing fewer patients for a while there while we figured everything out. But that was just a little bit of normal. That one.
Yeah.
And in any way we could help, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's a really good perspective, because I think a lot of us, a lot of people were working from home. Obviously, you can't work from home.
No.
So those jobs are so important and to keep going. And, I can't even tell you, I said this to your colleague as well, Carrie Ann Campbell, how, grateful I am for people that do this work, because a lot of us can't, by the way, just so you know. You certainly obviously do your job beautifully, but I think there's a certain population which we just have so much respect for the work that you do, and healthcare is tough these days, right? So it's important for you to know how grateful that we are that people still get up every day and as enthusiastic as yourself, where you're like, I can't wait to get there, right?
Well, I enjoyed it. I find it really gratifying. I just wish we could help more people.
And so do you think by the emergency department growing that you will actually attract more people to the hospital?
I think we will.
Yeah.
So we'll be busy.
We'll be very busy, absolutely. 18 months from now, take me to that date where that ribbon cutting happens, and there's lots of smiles here at the hospital for this new generation of this hospital and all the generations that will be served for years to come.
Oh, it's really exciting. It's just, when you're in the early stages of planning something like this, it's hard to believe that it's really going to happen. And when we had the groundbreaking a few weeks ago, it was like, wow, this is really going to happen. And it's just very exciting. I can't wait.
It is very exciting for sure. We're so happy to be here. We decided to take the show on the road today, the Sam Laprade show. We packed up the gear, we drove out here, and we've been welcomed so beautifully at the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital. And when you talk to your friends about the plans, because they obviously know that you work here, is the community as a whole as excited as you are?
Oh, yes. Well, for months, people have been saying, so when is that going to start? When is it going to happen? So now we finally have something new to talk about.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you can share that. So you were telling me just before we went on air that you literally walk here from your home 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
So now that you're walking and you see the construction underway, does that even make the day a little bit sweeter for you?
Oh, yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Really enjoyed my time with you today. Ellen Crawford spending time with us, an ultrasound technologist. Learned lots from you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Ellen is, of course, one of those frontline staff members at the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital that is excited about this new development, this new opportunity to have that new emergency department. And we're going to hear from lots of other people today here at the hospital. Nadine O'Sullivan's going to join us. Linda McGreevy's also going to spend time with us. She is the Foundation Board Chair. She's also the campaign advisor. And Mark Gormley's going to be here, RN and interim manager with Medical and Surgical Emergency Unit. We appreciate everybody spending time with us here on City News. It's an important time to be in the Valley. We appreciate everything that you're doing. You'll want to stay with us today. We're here once again in Carleton Place. We'll be back in the studio tomorrow, but it's been such a pleasure to be here in the Valley. Stay for the news, and we'll see you in a minute.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
This week on Simply Cooking by Chef, simple salads that will last all week in the fridge, give you a burst of flavor, and will please a big crowd.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
The regulars, the guys who keep this place in business. Last week, they had something to celebrate. Jason had just finished university. So they toasted his profs, his TAs, his old roommates. Well, they toasted just about everyone. But I worry about and take care of my guys. So even when I know they're not driving, sometimes that means bringing them a little surprise. And then they had a drink to me.
Brought to you by Smart Serve Ontario and Arrive Alive, Drive Sober.
Do you have something to share? Let everyone know about your next meeting, your need for volunteers, or your fundraising event on the Rogers TV Community Billboard. Send us your words and we'll bring them to life on Rogers TV and rogerstv.com. When it's time to spread the word, go to rogerstv.com to add your announcement to the community billboard.
Hi everybody, my name is Brian Aslin and I'm with The Commotions. We are performing Encore Ottawa 3 this week. Be sure to tune in.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 101.1 everywhere.
It's Wednesday, November 23rd. Good afternoon. I'm Perishko Gopal-Kista. Right now in Ottawa, mostly cloudy skies, +1. In Smiths Falls, it's 2 degrees. Here's what's making news this hour. The inquiry into the federal government's use of the Emergencies Act to clear Freedom Convoy protesters from an Ontario border blockade and downtown Ottawa has heard from the Attorney General, who raised the question of doing so several days into their arrival in the city. David Laprade testified today that the Department of Justice started thinking about the possibility of using the legislation in late January. Laprade, who is also the Justice Minister, says he raised the idea to ensure the government was prepared for whatever action it needed to take. Defense Minister Anita Anand and Transport Minister Omar Al-Gabra are set to testify this week. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will testify on Friday. Starbucks employees are starting to gain traction when it comes to unionizing, but in Canada and the U.S., workers face legislative barriers and alleged anti-union activity by the coffee giant. There are 6 unionized Starbucks stores in Canada and more than 250 in the U.S., though all but one have yet to reach a collective agreement. Ottawa Mayor Mark Sutcliffe visited Queen's Park yesterday and met with senior cabinet ministers to discuss a variety of issues impacting the city. Now, this included Bill 23, the More Homes Built Faster Act, as well as the ongoing pandemic-related pressures, that includes the impact of transit ridership and the recovery assistance needed from the May long weekend storm. And checking in with the World Cup, Morocco is tied with Croatia 0-0. Spain is still playing Costa Rica, and that score sits at 4-0. And a reminder that Canada takes on Belgium this afternoon at 2 p.m. City News Time, 12:31. I'm Perishka Gopal-Kister. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
And we took the show on the road today. I'm Sam Laprade, and we decided we're going to head to Carleton Place because we wanted to spend time with the people from the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital. We wanted to get to know them. And up next is Ellen. Sorry, my apologies. We chatted with Ellen already. Up next is Nadine O'Sullivan. Hi, Nadine. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you.
Can you tell I'm just excited to be here?
Yeah, for sure. It's a great town.
It's amazing. Great town for sure. And you have a fantastic job as a physiotherapist. Tell me a little bit how you got into this work.
Well, yeah, it is a fun thing. You do see a lot of people with discomfort or functional decline, especially with older population. But physiotherapy was always a bit of a passion. You know, I started off with sports and things like that. But as you get into the field, you see a lot more to it than just the sport, the soccer, the basketball, the football, hockey, things like that. So there's a lot of depth to it. There's a wide variety of senior population, people with arthritis, young and old. There's a breathing difficulty. We see a lot of that with the COVID environment the last couple of years. And pediatrics, people have had a stroke, a heart attack, admission to hospital. So there's a wide range of with the physiotherapy field. And I've had the luxury of working with some really good people to teach me along the way.
Oh, that's amazing. How long have you been at the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital? How long have you been employed here?
Yeah, I've worked here about 18 years. Wow. My colleagues, 30 years, over 30 years. And you can really see the retention of the staff. That really speaks to the great environment both the hospital and the community have to offer. So yeah, 18 years, you see things have changed over time. Up and down, positive, negative, but overall some great experiences. Working really closely with the doctors in a smaller community, you can pick up the phone and chat with them, and they respect your input and respect your feedback, and they'll do the same to us in physiotherapy, and just a fabulous team of nurses on second floor, first floor, emerge. Like everybody chats with somebody. There can be a hallway conversation that can really happen very quickly and work out a patient's problem a little bit easier.
See, now there is something I wouldn't have thought about, just the connection with the docs and those hallway conversations that, you know, can help solve, like you said, those issues that patients are facing. And I think one of the big themes today is how long people have stayed. You talk about a great environment, that great culture. That has really showed itself through the fundraising efforts of all of you. I mean, you've all the frontline staff, all the docs. I mean, everybody's really contributed and asking the community to match those dollars as well. That has been incredibly inspiring.
Yeah, it is. It's reaching a peak with our Emerge department, and but over the years, the community has been fabulous. Like as our physio department, we have multiple donations from equipment and machines and things like that can get quite pricey. So often companies will and groups will donate small pieces, and putting it all together to get that piece of equipment that we need to function and to provide the care we need every day as simple as possible for the community.
The other theme that's run through today is everybody seems to have a connection to Carleton Place. So I have to ask you, what is your connection to Carleton Place?
Oh, right. Yeah, you had to ask that, right? My maiden name is McNeely, and I have a lot of relatives. And it's funny because patients will come in and they'll say, Nadine, you and I are related, right? Yeah, somehow. So funny. The Gardners, the McNeelys, there's both my grandparents. I've created a lot of friends in the community and lots of good positive feedback I get from both family that come in to see me and say hi, or the hospital itself. The staff are like family as well. You walk in the door and both staff and people from the community say, I feel like I'm home, right? Mm-hmm. They'll recognize faces, they'll recognize names and whatnot. And it's a really strong community-based hospital that really provides a good positive outlook.
When I think about my mom, I lost my dad in 2016, but I think about when I was helping get him to appointments, or what my mom's facing in terms of healthcare right now. The biggest thing that and really what can change their day on a dime is the connection they have with staff, right? So no matter what is happening, if that staff pauses to really spend time with that senior and say, here's what's happening, here's how it's going to kind of affect your life, or, however you're doing your work, those moments really become the moments that help care for them when they've left the facility, left a hospital like this.
Yeah, the family we have a great communication with the family and the patient as the team, and that the family feel confident that you've made that connection, mm-hmm. and that they're comfortable that you're going to look after their family member, mm-hmm. especially as an inpatient. It's scary to come in. Mm-hmm. They're feeling unwell, their vision or their hearing is impaired. Are they going to be looked after, and are they safe? And families really communicate that to us, that they feel confident they can say the things they need to say, and really have an open communication there for sure.
Is being a physiotherapist a demanding job physically?
Yes, like we're climbing up on things. We have apparatus that we can help suspend a leg or an arm to allow them to exercise easier. So we're up and down on stools and chairs and things like that, and lots of hands-on. We use a couple of pieces of equipment, but our real tools are our hands. Mm-hmm. We feel how the joint moves, how the muscles are triggering and things like that. So we get a hands-on perspective. We do lots of mobilization, and we use our eyes and our hands to really help people along. But yeah, you're up and down stairs to get to second floor. You're back and forth to helping patients really be the best they can be.
Mm-hmm. So that's the sort of physical side of it. How emotional has it been through this pandemic? Because I'm assuming your work didn't continue like normal.
We still continued to come in. We were really trying to maximize inpatients. Mm-hmm. We saw outpatients, people that live in the community and still need physio. We ended up doing it over the phone or over the computer that the systems allowed us to. And so lots of conversation, lots of talking, and describing things. And people were very stressed, as everyone has experienced, that it's hard to be in pain and not being able to come in and see us. But talking them through it and knowing that certain things were helpful and following up based on what that person needs, right? Mm-hmm. There's no recipe for anything. It's just based on what that person needs. Do I need to call you in a couple of days? Do I need to call you again this afternoon? What that contact is like. So we always say, give us a call and we'll help you through it, so that they feel that there's something to lean back on. Mm-hmm. But certainly emotional for us to see the stress of family and patients as they're going through COVID.
For sure.
Some of them going through it not so well, right? So it was very, very emotional to see families upset outside the room and things like that, and giving them as much support as we could.
We spoke with a number of your colleagues today, which has been great, by the way. I just really, really loved all those opportunities. This new emergency department that is about 18 months away, even in your role, how will that affect your everyday?
Well, it's going to be fabulous. It's been in discussion for longer than just the last 10 years or so. We've always had this vision of what it might look like, and just access to care in a really more controlled environment, right? So that we hope that it just provides a positive thing for the community, that people come in, there's something to chat about now. It's positive. It's not just another negative thing like, oh, we didn't get this or we didn't get that, but that it's something more positive to discuss with people now, and that in the hallways that, there's going to be a little bit more space. We get a little bit more exercise. I have to think about it from a physio point of view, that we network with Emerge if there's a question around physio. So certainly we'll be there in and out, but and just allowing maybe a little bit more space and people a little bit sort of that big sigh of relief to say, okay, we've got a little bit more flexibility now. How do we use the space we have?
Such an important conversation. And, healthcare, it's a top of mind for everyone right now. How do you, sort of when you get up in the morning and you come here, how do you want patients to leave this hospital?
Yeah, they should leave feeling that they've got what they were looking for, but sometimes there's a discussion around they didn't even know what they needed, and say, okay, what happens if I go this way with my care, and what happens if I make a decision this way? You have to know the pros and cons of all your decisions, and have as much information as you can, so that you can make that informed decision. As you leave positive, and that you've got some options. And
in your work as a physiotherapist, how important is the attitude of the patient as well?
For sure, yeah. That people have to be wanting to come here. If someone comes in to see us, and why are you here? What can I help you with? It's patient directed based on information that we have on both sides, and that you have to be ready for change. So if somebody doesn't want to have anything to do with exercise, then how am I going to help you through that? And if they're not ready to change, there's no behavioral change over time. But sometimes you talk about those pros and cons. If the person's ready for it, then they realize, okay, what's my risks? I need to move forward on this. And then the patient directs us towards that outcome, and you've made a difference when the patient starts asking us, okay, well, how can I get that? Right. And how can I do that? Okay, well, I'm glad you asked. Here we go. Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
I don't need a physiotherapist, but if I did, I would want you to be that person.
Well, I have a great colleagues that I work with, and I've learned a lot from every therapist I met, and every patient I've met helps me build through to listen to people as much as we can.
Well, thank you so much for the great work you do, and I know they certainly appreciate you very much at the hospital. We are here live on location at the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital, and we just had a great chat with Nadine O'Sullivan, physiotherapist. We appreciate your time very much. When we come back, we're going to meet Linda McGreevy. We've chatted with Linda before. We're going to get her perspective as the Foundation Board Chair. We're in Carleton Place. We're at their beautiful hospital. We want you to come back with us as well. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
On Thursday's Daytime Ottawa, we are joined by Vets Without Borders. We're going to tell you about their fantastic initiative, which revolves around Giving Tuesday. That's right, it's just around the corner, an important topic and a great way for us to raise funds for those organizations that are important to us. We'll also tell you about a group of activists who's put together an incredible documentary about violence against women. And Hospice Care Ottawa has their holiday pop-up shop. We'll give you all the details.
When an impaired driver killed my brother DJ, my life changed forever. During the pandemic, all of our lives changed, and many of us turned to alcohol and drugs to cope. As life returns to normal, the increase in substance use from COVID has lingered, and some police services report an increase in impaired driving that caused heartbreak and devastation. Now, more than ever, we need your commitment to never drive impaired and to encourage all of your family and friends to do the same. Together, we can save lives.
Hey folks, it's me, Giovanni Patini, the host of the RTV quiz show, the hottest show on television. It's the hilarious quiz show where you, the viewers, play for valuable non-existent prizes. It's got great trivia, fun facts, and a lot of laughs, all blended together in a perfect cocktail of edutainment. So join us Wednesdays at 7:30 right here on Rogers TV. Nice.
Bipolar disorder.
Substance addiction. Bulimia. OCD. Want to swap?
1 in 2, a flip of a coin. That's the same chance we'll experience a mental illness by the time we're 40. $1 a day can help change those odds.
Hi, my name's Ange. I'm from the Angelina Hunter Trio. We will be performing this week as part of Encore Ottawa 3, and we really hope that you enjoy our set.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
And we're back live on location. We're coming from the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital, and we are so happy to be here. We've met an incredible amount of people, and being on location gets us seeing people in person. And I'm seeing Linda McGreevy across from me now, and of course the Carleton Place District and Memorial Hospital Foundation Board Chair, and if you can believe it, the Healthy Futures Together campaign advisor. Lots of big titles there, Linda, but what oozes from you is the passion for this hospital.
Thank you, Sam. Yes, I am extremely passionate about this hospital. I've lived in Carleton Place with my husband for 25 years, and I am a fundraising professional of 30 years, so working with the foundation was the perfect fit for me.
100%. Yes. So we've talked to a lot of different people today, the perspective of a grateful patient. We've had staff members on. We've had the president and CEO on. What would you want us to know about why this community needs this new emergency department? What was the driving force there?
Aside from the fact that I've been in healthcare in some capacity as a fundraiser a good part of my life, it was the fact that I'm a patient, and my husband was a patient. And a very short story, I brought Gary to the emergency department about 3 years ago in very serious condition with his foot. He dropped his motorcycle on it, so he had many extreme fractures. And the emergency doctor was very insistent that Gary had to be triaged quickly to the general campus. And he wanted to argue with that and thought he could just go home with a little bit of Tylenol or Advil, but she was very insistent and actually had a connection at the general hospital. I immediately took Gary in my car there, and she navigated that whole piece with us. And thankfully, she was incredibly patient and understanding. And that has, she in fact, I think, saved Gary's foot.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible. And you know, the world is really these days 1 degree of separation. And I know your husband, who's a fantastic person in this community as well. You know, has it been sort of a reconnecting moment for you in many ways, because the pandemic obviously was going on? You had to raise money in a very different way than you normally would. What was that like to try and inspire people when really we were asked to stay apart?
It was a tough decision to go ahead during COVID. We did think that maybe we would stop our fundraising and say, well, maybe people don't want to hear from us. But in the end of the day, we decided, you know what? People appreciate healthcare now more than ever.
True.
And this is probably the time to ask. This is a time to reach out to our community. And I have to tell you, this community has been absolutely incredible. From the businesses to the individuals to the service clubs, we are blown away by the response we got. And raising the bar twice, from 3 million to 4 million, and now we've raised it again. And have to raise another 775,000. We know we're going to do it because the community is outstanding.
You're the foundation board chair for the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital. Is it a lot of pressure, Linda?
At times there is some pressure to being the chair of the board of the foundation, being that fundraising arm for the hospital. I would say that my years of being an ED and a CEO have set me up nicely for this role.
Right.
And I'm a great fan of Robin's.
Right.
And we have gathered an amazing board of directors with lots of talent. So there is a certain amount of pressure, but it's pressure that I can handle because I'm passionate about this place.
And I think and you can tell, by the way, you walk in a room and you definitely know that you love this hospital. I mean, you can tell that this hospital means a lot to every single one of our guests today, to be honest with you. I mean, it's a really important conversation to have. What would you want someone to do today if they have been inspired by the grateful patient stories and by all of the other things that we talked about today that have made this hospital so special? How would you want someone to contribute today?
I would like them to think in terms of this is the time of year that we're giving. We're getting close to Christmas, and I think it's important that we think about not only ourselves, but our children and our grandchildren who will benefit from the health care. We need to preserve health care in our community. And I would encourage people to make a donation. Make a donation today, because we need emergency care and we need it now.
And it's amazing. I mean, this hospital we're sitting in right now has served this community for a really long time. But stepping up from a technology perspective, stepping up from what we've learned through the pandemic perspective. I mean, there are lots of lessons to be learned through all of what we have been through to make things better, and hope that obviously that never happens again.
Absolutely. It is vitally important that we do stay with new technology, that we do have more space for our emergency department.
For sure.
And we know the community has grown significantly. So once again, Sam, encourage people to dig deep, make a donation, and think of the people that you're serving.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. Thank you so much, Linda, for joining us today. Linda is the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital Foundation Board Chair and Healthy Futures Together campaign advisor. She has a lot of roles in this community, and we certainly appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. And send my love to Gary Jans.
I will.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Sam.
We wanted to end our show today speaking with Mark Gormley, RN and Interim Manager, Medical, Surgical and Emergency Unit. You all have such incredible big titles here, big roles, Mark, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
And Mark, what does this hospital mean to you?
Well, to me, it literally means everything. I think like the story everybody's heard, I think it was 25 years ago, I showed up here one day with not even an interview, not even a resume, just to do a walk-around interview with one of the managers, and I started that afternoon.
Wow.
And I've been here since.
Wow.
And yeah, this is the community I grew up in, so I mean, I'm very attached to this hospital for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your role.
Transitioned into the role as the interim manager in July, but prior to that, I worked on the med-surg unit and the inpatient unit for 25 years as a staff nurse.
Wow.
Opportunity came up for me to expand my role here at the hospital, and I've been in the role since July, sort of filling in as there's a transition within the department and within the hospital. So I'm glad to embrace the role and try and survive, really, because it's healthcare is in a very difficult spot right now. So
it certainly is.
Yeah.
And it just seems, talking to all of your colleagues today and people like Linda McGreevy and everybody in our community that is serving Carleton Place, that this hospital just means so much to this community. The new emergency department that's coming, we're 18 months away. We're heading there. It's very exciting, and I know that it'll make all the difference for the staff. A big thank you to all of the staff as well for all the staff reaching up and taking that fundraising torch as well, and encouraging the community to match those gifts.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's really what the hospital is a family to everybody, and we try and that's sort of how we try to live. And when people come and believe me, a little plug here, we are recruiting, so anybody in the area, we come and join our family for sure. We're always looking to bring on board new people, especially with how much the community is growing. We know there's more resources in the area, and we'd love to see people come and join us and keep supporting the hospital.
That's fantastic. Robin Arsenault is joining us. We just have to say goodbye, but Robin, what a joy it's been to be out here at the Carleton Place and District Memorial Hospital to spend time with all of you.
Yes, and thank you so much again. And just to echo what Mark said, we are a family here, and we've called our family Team Vital, and they are the ones that have come together, made amazing sacrifices and just giving so much to the community. And then also, of course, that match gift ends next Tuesday at midnight. They will match the community up to $50,000. And that's how amazing it is.
Wow.
With this family. They care that much, and they're just very privileged to work here.
What a beautiful way to end our show.